Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Oh, hell yes, dear listener. The HSP boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 53. Thank you so much for jumping in the saddle with us. Prime number episode, dear listener. Number 53 is the 16th prime number. That means that this episode is the HSP boys' 16th prime number episode. Prime number episodes tend to go very well for the HSP boys, and hopefully they go well for you too. 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages, just to make it fair, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee. 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 53, dear listener. 53 and third, the Ramones song. 53 is the number painted on the side of Herbie the Love Bug and on the hood. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas once said, "Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming, but how?" 53 more things to do in Zero Gravity, the book from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Man, Luke, we're doing good today, I'll tell you what.
That's right.
And you know what else 53 means, dear listener? 53 means that we've got 53 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now, so let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 53, which is in the house, presently. Find us on Facebook at Zero Gravity Med. Same thing on Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us email at feedback@zero-gravity-media.com. That's feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and TuneIn, all 4 under Zero Gravity Media. Find us on YouTube, look for Zero Gravity Media and our God-tier Zero G logo. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website, that's zero-gravity-media.com and zero-gravity-media.com/contact. Shorter intros continue by popular request, as always, dear listener. Shorter intros means that we only call out one city. And this city, the magic of this city, is the city with the most HSP listens in the previous week. So without any further ado, the city with the most HSP listens in the previous week is... Dear listener, we got a 4-way tie up in the house right now. First time ever. Got a literal 4-way tie. We've got the home of vicarious dear listener, Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, Scottsdale has always been here, dear listener, but we've noticed an uptick in listens since our dear friend and loyal rider has moved to Scottsdale. But very interestingly, Mesa, Arizona is still in the house, so we're doing pretty good in Arizona. We've got Ashburn, Virginia in the house, as always. Thank you so much, Ashburn. What's up, Tucker? What's up, Laura Ingram? We've got San Francisco, California, home of dearest listener and the town where Luke and I fought it out and blazed the very original trail here for HSP. And finally, we've got College Station, Texas. College Station. Let's beat the hell out of Clemson, Aggies. You heard me? Now, dear listener, we've reached a new milestone this week. Together, we have colonized yet another country. As of this week, we've been joined on the trail by a few dear listeners in India. For real, we got India on the trail. Brand new country, as far as I can recall. We're not able to determine which towns, but we suspect Hyderabad, Delhi, and Goa, maybe Mumbai and Pune, or maybe somewhere in Kerala. Mostly on the West Coast.
I'm looking at the analytics. It's Bangalore.
Oh, okay. Good. So Bangalore, thank you so much. Leave us some feedback and let us know how you found us on this trail. And I'm just kidding about that colonization comment. That was probably insensitive. Sorry, man. But we roll hard here on HSP. You got to understand, India.
It's the real reason for Brexit. They're trying to get India back.
Right.
They can't colonize India again unless they Brexit, you know?
Yeah. Right. Oh man. So where are we going this week? We got a stacked show this week, man. Finally news is great again. Politics is great again.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to, as a result of that, we're going to be a little bit more disciplined than last time. We did a lot of sightseeing the last couple episodes, but it was fun. But we have a lot to get through this week. So we're going to kind of jump right into it here. But quickly, the topic list. We've got Buttigieg talking about abortion on the Breakfast Club morning show. Trump using $3.6 billion in military funding to fund the wall. Environmentalism, the CNN climate forum. We've got a few topics in that. We're going to spend a lot of time on that because that was the big show this week. We've also got Brexit. If we have some time, we'll talk about some things going on in South Africa. But I mean, realistically, what is there to say beyond Africa's going to Africa? And yeah, and you had one topic too, didn't you, Russ?
Yeah, wall shart and gun control. We might hit that, if we have time. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I don't know if we can get to it. And by the way, dear listener, I just want to throw in, I have gotten numerous items of feedback from numerous dear listeners about how apolitical Luke and I were last week. It was mostly complimentary, but Luke, there was kind of this, let's get back to the politics type of vibe after our show last week.
You know what, dear listener, there's going to be some episodes are going to be strictly, some episodes are going to be hardly. And that's just the way it's going to be.
Damn straight. That's right. That's right. This one will be strictly. Believe that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We got a lot of miles to cover on this trail.
We do. 53 in fact. Yep.
Indeed. All right, dude. Well, let's jump into it. What do you say about the Buttigieg radio show?
Yeah, let's do
that first.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. So, dear listener, this week Buttigieg was on the radio show, The Breakfast Club. Now, you're seeing this trend begin to happen regularly with the Democratic primary candidates, which is as they become more and more public, they are showing their true colors more and more. So basically what's happening is that, people say it's a race to the left. That's too generic a term. Really what they mean when they say it's a race to the left is that people with principles will beat people without principles by necessity. And so it's not really a race to the left. It's just, oh God, I've got to be more principled than the next guy. It's like running from a shark. So swimming from a shark, rather. I don't know what kind of a shark you'd be running from.
Land shark.
But, yeah. But anyways, so Buttigieg was on The Breakfast Club talking about abortion. And now he's revealed when he believes life begins at birth. So I'm quoting a National Review piece here. In an interview this morning on the Breakfast Club radio show, South Bend mayor and Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg attempted to rationalize his support for legal abortion until birth by suggesting that perhaps human life begins at the moment of a child's first breath. Here's what he said. Pro-life people hold everybody in line with this one piece of doctrine about abortion, which is obviously a tough issue for a lot of people to think through morally. Then again, there's a lot of parts of the Bible that talk about how life begins with breath. Even that is something that we can interpret differently. No matter what you think about the cosmic question of how life begins, most Americans can get on board with the idea of, I might draw the line here, I might draw the line there. The most important thing is the person who should be drawing the line is the woman making the decision. It's the latest salvo in a long string of attempts by Buttigieg to paint his entire progressive agenda as the only acceptable set of policies for a moral Christian, insisting that a proper interpretation of Christianity will point you in a progressive direction. Time and again, the mayor, who considers himself a faithful Episcopalian, has derided Republicans and conservative Christians for their supposed hypocrisy and immorality while proclaiming the objective moral correctness of his own policy prescriptions. Last paragraph. But when it comes to abortion, he is of the there's a typo in this article, a few of them actually. He is of the unswerving moral compass thus far has fallen silent, repeatedly demurring on whether it's ever appropriate to limit abortion legally on moral or religious grounds. That is, until today. Now Buttigieg apparently has managed to locate lots of parts of the scripture that, by his implication, would legitimize a regime of abortion on demand until the moment of birth, or even, I suppose, until a newborn child draws his or her first breath. What do you think about that, Russ?
Man, I'm sick to death of being preached to by this sanctimonious son of a bitch. I'm serious. It's clearly a play to get evangelical votes. He thinks that he's pretty enough that he can grab them. And like, dude, this man is no Christian whatsoever. And I'm tired of this false witness that he preaches constantly. Saint Buttigieg, man. I'm sick of it, man. And these comments, I don't know, It's like you just said, man. He finally showed his ass, and he showed his ass for not being a Christian, for not being religious whatsoever, and he showed his ass for being stupid as well. right? So, like, dear listener, the implication here, of course, is that this is not partial birth abortion. This is not full-term abortion. This is murdering a baby after it is born. Just like, we gonna keep that baby comfortable. We gonna take care of that baby. Just like that, right? These people are crazy. They're absolutely insane. So St. Buttigieg is trying to cloak his desire for murder of human beings in sanctimony and religion. That's what it is. And he must have worked hard to find those Bible quotes, man. I mean, find that scripture. He must have worked really hard, you know? What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think it's interesting that he's trying to, it's funny because the left, you know, they always try to pride themselves. Oh, we're on the side of science, you know? I bet he would turn around in this very same breath and, you know, after quoting scripture on this, then try to shame the very same people who question his science on climate change, you know? So it would be, I would be interested to hear his rationalization for that from a scientific understanding of the idea of when life would begin, you know, which is what this question really is all about. I mean, nobody, you know, everyone's quibbling over, oh, you're pro murder. Oh, we're against murder and you're in favor of murder. The real argument is we just fundamentally disagree on when life begins. Everybody agrees on don't, you know, murder, but where everyone disagrees is the question of when life begins. So at least he's having the correct conversation. I mean, you can at least give him credit for that. But to try and draw this from scripture as if that's a winning argument, he's not going to get anywhere with this, because the kind of people he's trying to win over with that sort of argument are not the kind of people who would ever vote for him anyways. Right. In fact, if anything, the kind of people who are saying, yes, this is coming from a gay man, because if they are this obsessed with scripture, they're probably not on board with homosexuality.
Right. Yeah. For him to think for a moment that he can cop a couple of evangelical votes out of this is ridiculous. I don't know where he gets his campaign data from. I don't know who does his polling for him, but that's a ridiculous premise. And speaking of rationalization, it's pure rationalism. Everything he just said is pure rationalism. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, just pulling it out of scripture. And yeah, we've talked about this before. I mean, you can pull anything out of scripture. You can get whatever the hell you want. You can get it. You can find it in the Bible.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. As far as religious text goes, the Bible is kind of all over the place. I mean, it was composed over a very long period of time, and it kind of goes all over the place thematically. You know what I mean? I mean, at times the Bible advocates murder. It truly does. You know, it advocates revenge, you know? And so like, good on him for, finding his scripture, good on him. But like, the argument he's making is a loser. And and he's not going to get the nomination. And I would actually bet that he is going to go down a few points among those to whom he is trying to present himself and capture a little bit of voting. That is the evangelical bloc, which are pretty much unanimously in lockstep with Donald Trump at this point in time.
Well, what he doesn't realize is the evangelicals listen to HSP, so it's a lost cause if that's who he's going after.
That's right. That's right, man.
But even then, it was, I think it's Episcopalians that he's going after.
Yeah, I think so too. Tucker called him out for that this week, as a matter of fact, for going after the Episcopals. And yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what he's doing. Not so much evangelical, but Episcopal. I think you're right. Yeah.
I mean, he's certainly not going to convince a diehard Catholic that we should be... that life begins at the first breath. That ain't happening.
Right. It's really interesting, man. I've studied Moshe Feldenkrais quite a bit, right? And he had this, his first premise about, he has a system of, not exercise, dear listener, a system of movement that is a kind of physical body improvement that he created in like the 50s or something like that. He also is the man who helped create, or did create, heavy water, which is an element necessary for nuclear weapons, right? And he created that. But he came up with this system of movement that he now calls Feldenkrais. And what he says is that life truly begins with movement, right? Death is lack of movement. Life begins when movement happens. Life itself without movement is unthinkable. Movement itself without life is unthinkable. He's got a hell of a point there. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So Pete Buttigieg ignores all of this about babies kicking, babies rolling around in the uterus, babies moving at about 3 months old. You know what I mean? And man, that's 6 to 7 months of arguable life from a leftist like Moshe Feldenkrais that Pete Buttigieg just mows over for his abortion agenda, for the leftist abortion agenda. We're going to be talking a lot more about abortion here in a little bit when we get into climate, dear listeners. Some crazy stuff happened about this. So
that's interesting. What was that guy's name? I might look into him.
Yeah, Moshe Feldenkrais. I'll send him to you. Feldenkrais. Feldenkrais. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't agree with the life, like, movement is the life, like the concept of life is dependent upon movement, because it's like, you know, what happens when an earthquake hits California? It's like all those people in the cemeteries come back to life. I mean,
right.
It's movement controlled by something or motivated by something. You know, the movement has to come from somewhere, which would be consciousness. So I don't know. I'm not really on board with that, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah. There are holes in the theory. I've always thought so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dead things can definitely move. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
Well, let's move on, man.
Let's do it.
So Trump using $3.6 billion in military funds to build border wall. This is an article I've got from the Daily Caller. It goes here from the top. President Donald Trump is reportedly moving forward with his plan to redirect billions in military funds toward wall construction at the U.S.-Mexico border. The Trump administration is calling lawmakers whose districts will be affected, telling them a plan to divert $3.6 billion from military construction projects to the southern border wall will be executed this week, CNN reported, citing defense officials and a letter from Defense Secretary Mark Esper. Around half of the military funding will come from construction projects within the U.S., while the other half will be taken from construction projects outside the country. The White House reallocated a number of funds since declaring an emergency at the southern border in February. The Department of Homeland Security revealed in August that it was reprogramming $271 million in funding for immigration enforcement. About $116 million will help fund the department and additional immigration and customs enforcement beds for detained migrants, and the transportation of migrants to ICE detention facilities. Another $155 million is set to help fund judicial proceedings related to Remain in Mexico, a policy that keeps U.S. asylum seekers in Mexico as they await their cases to be adjudicated. Quote, this realignment of resources allows DHS to address ongoing border emergency crisis by alleviating the surge along the nation's southwest border while minimizing the risk to overall DHS mission performance, end quote, Homeland Security said in an August statement at the time. So what do you think about this, Russ? I'm sure you're probably excited about this.
Oh, yeah, man. First of all, the wall is indeed being built. There have been videos released by Department of Homeland Security showing the wall being built. This $3.6 billion is going to build about 172 miles of repaired wall and new wall. Since the wall has been being built and Mexico is finally starting to help us to stop this invasion at our southwest border, we have seen immigration numbers drop by half in the month of August. That is great. Now, 50,000 coming in. It was actually like 45,000 still got into the country illegally. That's still way too many. But in 1 month, a 50% drop, man, that's really encouraging. It's very, very encouraging. And there is a lot of squawking on the left. I don't know if you heard about this, Luke, but several congressional members, Senate members and stuff like this, they're wanting to shut down the government over this $3.6 billion deal. All right, I know I can speak for you. The HSP boys say do it. Just shut down the government. But there's nothing you can do about this because the Supreme Court has already ruled in favor of this. They've already decided that Donald Trump can absolutely do this, right? It is the highest law of the land, reviewed judicially, and it's happening, whether you shut down the government or not. So, oh man, plus 172 miles of wall, about another 950 miles of wall to go after that. Yeah, man, it's good stuff. Yeah. But
he should have.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say he should have appropriated, like, just to troll them, like an extra $5 million in there to make it 10 feet higher.
Right. Exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah, but I find this to be really white-pilling stuff. And so, like, it can no longer be argued that nothing is happening with the wall, dear listener. The wall is being built. You can go see the wall being built. And not only that, there was that video that came out a couple weeks ago. Luke, did you see it? Where in one of the sections in Arizona where the new wall has been built already, right? A couple of illegals run up and they try to climb it, right? But they can't make it. They can't grip the bollard fencing, right? They can't climb quickly enough. And so they climb and fall and climb and fall, climb and have to jump off. Well, they spent so much time there trying to get up the wall that Border Patrol was able to run up on them and arrest them and take them into custody, right? And that's a perfect illustration of what the wall is, right? Is it perfect? No. Can it be tunneled under? It's going to be really hard because the concrete under this wall goes 10 feet down, dear listener. So you got to dig 10 feet underneath it. Can you do it? Yes. It's going to take you a mighty long time to do it, right? But what we see here is that it is an effective deterrent, and it stops crossers from getting across long enough for Border Patrol to get there. Not only that, we're seeing exactly what Paul Ryan argued for all of this time. We've got cameras all over that wall that alert Border Patrol where a crossing is taking place, where it is being inhibited, so that they can see on the camera, okay, yeah, it's on this sector. Yeah, we can be there in 5 minutes and go bust these people. It's fantastic, man, and it's working. It's working.
Yeah, that's, all these people that are like, oh, it's not going to work because you can just go around it. You can do the ocean. You can make tunnels. They don't understand that that's not the point. The point is that there's so much less to worry about now. This frees them up to go patrol the oceans, to come up with ways to detect tunneling happening underneath the fence. There's sensors for this sort of thing. There's all sorts of things that you can put on the fence to deter, like geodetic sensors to put on the fence to determine if there's any sort of deformation going on, like people actually trying to tear it down. And then cameras, of course. There's just so many ways that you can that you can not only the wall allows them to do so many other things than just patrol an open field.
Right. Yeah, and it's effective. You know what I mean? And it also, a drop of 50% of illegals coming into this country illegally, the Border Patrol essentially by the left has been conscripted to be a babysitting agency, really is what it is. Most Border Patrol spend 50% of their time just taking care of babies and changing diapers, for God's sake, right? Now with fewer of them able to get in, over time, this will begin to have an effect where there are fewer diapers to be changed, fewer noses to be wiped, fewer soccer balls to be kicked, and Border Patrol can get back to doing the business of the oath they took, which is why they kind of, to a person, as far as I've heard, they all joined the Border Patrol because they want to defend the border. They don't want to sit here and be a babysitter,
Yeah.
So yeah, it absolutely frees them up.
I was going to say fewer bad burritos to serve.
Yeah. Yeah. This is food for pigs. This is food for pigs.
Well, we're not serving up so much pig food. That's a good thing. They should be celebrating this,
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, cool. I think it's great. Trump's finally figuring, it's interesting, dude. It's kind of like, because he didn't come from the world of politics, it's like there was a learning curve there. And he's kind of had to figure out, like, okay, like, how do I operate in this hostile of an environment? How do I get things done when the right's not on my side, the left hates me, the media derides me? How do I get stuff done? And it's like, it seems as though there was a little bit of a learning curve. And now he's like, okay, cool. If I want to do this, I go here and do that,
Right.
And so it seems like he's doing things to be a little bit more effective. I'll touch on something else he did when we get to the climate panel, climate change.
I know.
Town hall.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And he's doing things quietly in the background that nobody even hears about, So,
right. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, Trump's turning out to be, man, at the very beginning, you know, I was kind of excited, but a little hesitant to kind of just go on full mega. You know, I was interested to see what was going to pan out, and then you know, these first 2 years have been just touch and go, you know, with him. But lately, it seems like he's kind of figured out how things work, and now he's kind of in. Okay, now he's shifting gears. It seems like, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, he understands that there's an election coming up that he needs to win, and he needs to give some red meat to his base, and he's doing that. And
totally.
Yeah. And I talked about it a little bit on Bots, Thoughts, and Drops last night, man. He's absolutely other things that are going on with Donald Trump. He has the Federal Reserve absolutely brought to heel right now, which is God tier. This has never happened in the Federal Reserve's history.
How is that? Yeah. I don't know anything about this.
He has been talking so much trash about the Fed, right? Even so far as to calling the chairman, Jerome Powell, calling him an enemy, comparing him to Xi Jinping, saying that they did not lower rates quickly enough, right? So he's created this feedback loop of lowering rates, market improvement, right? Enact more tariffs. So what he's done is he's absolutely got Federal Reserve monetary policy subsidizing the trade war so that he can put runs on the board in trade. Okay. And I get into it deeper at Bots, Thoughts, and Drops. There's a Zero Hedge piece, Luke, that I read almost in its entirety. I'll send it to you, man. So like, you know, he's also, you know, kind of really creating a soft spot for the UK if they do indeed Brexit, right? We're not in trade negotiations with the UK or anything, but he's saying things about how we will have the UK's back if they do hard Brexit, right? I mean, yeah, you're right, man. So many runs are being put up on the board, and he's gotten to the point now where he doesn't, as you just detailed, where he doesn't telegraph what he's doing. He just does it, right? He just does it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, he it's I saw Peter Schiff tweet something out or put something up on Facebook a couple days ago. I can't remember, but talking about how because the Fed hates Trump so much, they're ironically doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, man. It's white pilling stuff, and he's you know, more presidential in his appearances. You know, I have to say he truly is. You know, he's I don't know anything about that, but I think it's really disgraceful what Ilhan Omar said about Jews or whatever, dude. You know?
Yeah,
it's just good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, totally.
You know, I can't dox anybody here, but I do have a question to ask you.
Sure.
So my parents were dyed-in-the-wool cruise missiles, right? They are now dyed-in-the-wool Trump train. And now I know that certain of your family members were also cruise missiles, right? Are they Trump train at this point in time? Do you know about that?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I have not talked to this person about Trump at length, but it seems as though they are not anti-Trump like they were when they were a cruise missile.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there seems to be less and less of this never Trumper stuff going on. You know what I mean? Less and less.
Because I think they're all gone. You know? Yeah. They all got purged.
Yeah, they did. They did. I mean, you know, we've got some problems with some Republican cucks in Texas, man. I don't know if you heard about this, but there are now 5 Texas representatives who are not going to run for re-election. 3 of those are in risky districts, right? But like, you know, there's one good one that is resigning.
Who is
the
that?
Rest of them were Flores. He's pretty
Bill
good,
Flores.
but he's hated. Yeah, but he's hated by his constituency. That's just the bottom line.
That's College Station area, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, he's College Station.
I remember, dude. He's been. I mean, I remember when I lived there. I mean, this was like more than 10 years ago. I remember like all his political ads all over the radio.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and he's done pretty good in the House of Representatives, but something went wrong. I don't know exactly what it is, but in that district, his voters have absolutely turned against him. And I think that he is sticking his finger in the air and realizing that the winds are to his front and that he can't re-win that district. So he's bowing out. Now, I'm going to call that a pretty reliably conservative district. I don't think it's going to go to a leftist. You know what I mean? I think it's reliable.
Yeah.
You know, assuming that somebody steps up and runs. But like, Luke, it is really, you know, Rush has been talking about this over the last few weeks. There's some calculus by the left going on here, district by district. And we know exactly who it is. It's the Justice League Democrats that are up to this. It's not the Democrat Party. It's the Justice League Democrats. They're trying to take down district by district to turn Texas at least purple, if not full on blue. And I suspect enemy action here. 5 times, 5 retirements, right? I suspect some enemy action.
I mean, somebody's going to step up and run on the right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they will.
And they're probably going to be sort of like a dude, if we had like 5, if you took those 5 out and then replaced them with like 5 Dan Crenshaw or Ted Cruz types.
Exactly. Right.
I would be wonderful. Couldn't have asked for a better outcome.
Yeah. And dear listener, this is because of the climate that Donald Trump has created, right? Because of all of this winning, man. I'm so sick of winning, Luke. God, I'm just so sick of it. I never thought I would, but now I'm just sick of winning, right? But he's created a climate of winning despite all this squawking in his own constituency, despite all this never Trumpism stuff. And I think that Luke absolutely nailed it. The left hates me. My own party hates me. I'm just going to go win. You know, hell with it. I'm just going to go win, you know, and, you know,
somebody's got to do some winning around here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I see it's so white pilling, man. It's like if you look at the face of the future of the left and the face of the future of the right, on the left, you have AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, all these batshit crazy leftists, just absolutely batshit crazy leftists that are like embarrassing, like cringe-worthy embarrassing. And then the face of the right is these like cool, calm, collected, rational people like Dan Crenshaw, Ted Cruz. You know, Dan Crenshaw's like so uber relatable. And it's just, I mean, Dan Crenshaw is young. He is, in my opinion, the future of the right. And we should be pushing for that. And I think he's pushing for it. The media is okay with him being out there. He was on Joe Rogan recently. I am, you know, obviously I'm not in 100% agreement, but there's no politician on this planet, I don't think, that I'm 100% in agreement with, you know? So we have to take the best that we can get and the most principled candidates. And Dan Crenshaw right now is that. And so it's like, if this is the future of the left and the future of the right, I am not worried one bit.
Yeah.
Because people are not going, they're going to allow this climate change BS to only go so far. You know, when people can't go on cruises anymore, when people can't fly home to see their newborn grandchild anymore, when people can't drive, they can't afford an electric car because the technology is not on the horizon that would be needed to make electricity that abundant and cheap. You know, when people really begin to get really damaged by this, and meanwhile, the climate truthers are all still running around with their hair on fire. People are they're going to just start to turn. They're going to say, you know what, enough is enough.
Right.
I mean, I would hope so. I have faith in the American people that they're not so far gone that they literally hate their own species and want to die. I mean, that's
exactly. Yeah, man. The left has turned into this. You know, you remember the yes we can. They've turned into the party of no we can't, and everybody needs to die. Their absolute nihilism and pessimism.
Yes, dude, totally. Yeah, that's it, man. That dude, what an astute observation. Yeah, yes, Obama was agitating for a positive, at least. You know?
Yeah.
They're not, dude. I posted on actually our Zero Gravity Media Facebook. Dear listener, go follow us on Facebook. I posted a link, which was a supercut of everything that the Democrat presidential primary candidates want to ban. It was a supercut of everything they want to ban. And it's just, we'll get to this in segment 2, but it is, oh my God, dude. Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
are
man.
not yes we can. They are no you can't. And it's not no we can't.
Yeah.
It's no you can't because I'm
No,
still
you
going to
can't.
fly on this
Yes,
private
yes.
jet. I'm still going to use plastic straws. I'm still going to eat hamburgers and travel around the world.
I'm still going to have my guns. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still going to have my armed bodyguards. It's no you can't.
Right. Right. No, you can't buy this $15 million mansion on Martha's Vineyard, but yes, I can.
Yeah.
You know?
With a private helipad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, what is happening in the Republican Party as this purge of the cucks continues. We're seeing the Republican Party become kind of hip, Luke. We've got Dan Crenshaw, who's created this entire new genre of video where he's walking out of his office being followed by his aide saying, okay, check out this bullshit I'm fixing to go vote on right now. I can't believe I've got to do this. Here's the bill. Here's how I'm going to vote. Here's what the left is trying to do. Let's go do this, right? And he's walking down the hall of the House of Representatives shooting this video. It's God tier stuff.
Dude,
You've got Ted Cruz taking...
I'm not familiar with that. No.
Oh, I'll show you these. He's done a few of them. They're God tier, man. God tier. Like really funny, really determined. I'll show them to you. Right.
All right. And then you said we got Ted Cruz doing what now?
Ted Cruz, shouting down Bette Midler. He takes a run at him on Twitter and thinks that her Twitter army is going to follow her. Ted comes out and is like, you know what, Bet, you're a great singer, but you're so disgustingly angry. Your attitude is what is harmful to this country, and here's why I'm right on this argument. Deborah Messing trying to step up to Ted Cruz and him shouting her down, saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, let's go. Alyssa Milano stepping up to Ted Cruz, challenging him to a debate about guns. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So good, man. It's so good.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And again, as Luke and I always argue, this Ted Cruz that we're seeing right now, this would not have happened had Ted Cruz won the nomination. Ted Cruz might not have won against Hillary in the presidency. Donald Trump created this climate to allow Ted Cruz to spread his wings like this. Yeah.
Dude, it's shock therapy, man. That's what everybody needed.
Yeah, right.
They needed shock therapy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good stuff.
No, not shock. Like exposure therapy. Is that right?
Yeah. Either one, man. Both equally apply. Both literally apply to this situation. So.
Yeah, Trump just sort of elbowed his way and made a path, and now you've got the Dan Crenshaws and the Ted Cruz following up, picking off any survivors.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyways,
good, dear listener, with these 5 representatives that have stepped down in Texas, and everybody's trying to meme Texas into a purple state already, probably going to flip blue. I wouldn't worry about it too much, but this is a call to arms. Everybody in Texas within earshot of this podcast in these hallowed halls right now. We've got some business to do in 2020. We've got to win this state for President Trump, and you've got to go out and represent and got to get your representatives elected.
We need to find out which 5 districts those are and figure out who the hell's running and what we think about them. We need to do that.
Yeah, we do. So far, it's a vacuum. It's just people saying that they're going to retire. Man, I don't have any show prep on this. Where is this article? I read one just the other day. Nobody has stepped up in the Republican Party to say that they are going to run.
Are the 5, are they cucks?
4, yes. 3 hardcore cucks.
Okay,
2
fine. Who
pretty
cares?
good.
Yeah.
2 pretty good, right? Bill Flores, again, pretty good, right? Certainly not a never Trumper. Yeah, we can do better. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 cucks. That's when that happens. That's the left's to lose. These type of cucky Republicans. Those are the ones that open the door for the left. They're the ones sort of like. They're the ones at the party. The police are at the door, and they're at the party, and everybody thinks that they're on their side, inside the house. But he's the one with his foot in the door, so that the police can barge in.
Right.
And pretending to be everyone's friend. Probably not a good example after that story I told last week.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good. It's all good, man.
That's just the first thing that came to mind, but whatever the case.
Yeah.
Whatever the case. Yeah, dude, we should find out who those people are. But yeah, I mean, and those people are the worst, anyways. Like they're the worst because they allow everyone to think everything's fine. Meanwhile, it's not. And there's like no worse a situation than that. You know, things can be bad.
Yeah.
But as long as you know they're bad, then you can do something about it. If things are good, obviously things are good. But if things are bad and then you think that they're good, then that's a real problem.
Yeah. All right, dear listener, the five representatives who are stepping down are: number 1, Pete Olson in District 22 in Sugar Land; number 2, Mike Conaway, District 11 in Midland, solid Republican district. If they just get a good candidate up, the Justice League Democrats cannot take Midland. Will Hurd, District 23, Elotes, that's a toss-up district. It's down in the valley. It is indeed a toss-up. Kenny Marchant, District 24 in Coppell. That is a slightly leaning Republican, but the Dallas virus is spreading outward, and it is soon to hit Coppell. And Bill Flores, District 17 in Bryan, and he's the most recent, right?
What is the Dallas virus? Blue?
Yeah, Dallas is deeply, deeply blue, man. They carried John Kerry in the Bush-Kerry election by like 89%, dude. And
Jesus.
Bush is from Texas. Yeah, Yeah,
Christ,
it's shocking.
Man.
And yeah, man. Yeah, and they carried Hillary by a substantial margin. I think like 65% to 35% in Dallas against Trump. Yeah.
God, what is wrong with Dallas, man?
Man, I don't know. There's too much migration back and forth between Dallas and Austin. That's and the California invasion. Also that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No offense, California. Y'all in California that listen to us, y'all are good. Y'all are welcome to come to Texas, right? But it's the shitlib Californians who are moving there because they're tired of paying taxes and tired of stepping over human feces and homeless people in the street. And they're moving here and bringing their crap with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, those people in Dallas, it's all the, driving Audis around with their Bluetooth earphone,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like these people. These are the people that are just like the most hollow people intellectually.
Right.
They're like hanging out in Uptown, like, yo, brah, did you vote for Hillary, brah? Totally, man.
Just so. Yeah, man, that's exactly right. So, yeah. So, so I did hear Bill Flores on a talk show this week, and he was asked some pretty grilling questions about like, why step down now? Why not run again? Win the seat? Keep the seat, and then if you really have to step down, then resign after the seat has been won. Right? What's going on? Is there some kind of rot happening within the Republican Party? And his answer was, yeah, no, nobody's really anti-Trump or anything. It was kind of a rationalistic answer that Bill Flores gave. He was like, there's nothing going on with the party. We support the president. We're not tired of being in the minority in the House or anything like this, but we all want to spend time with our families, of course. It was kind of excuse making and a real lack of attention to political strategy from Bill Flores, Luke, I have to say. You know what I mean? But that district, even the Texas Tribune article that I have pulled up right now admits that it is solidly Republican, right? So Bill Flores he mentioned that of the 5 Texas representatives that are stepping down, that he thinks that all of their districts will stay Republican. But that's a big gamble, man. I mean, it's up to us Texans. That's what the deal is. It's up to us to make sure those stay red, So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to take a quick break? We'll come back and move into climate change, or did you want to do Walmart
now? There's not really much to say about it, dear listener. Y'all probably heard about Walmart this week. They came out and said that they are going to stop carrying .223 and .556 ammo. They said that they are no longer going to sell handguns. They're not going to sell any handgun ammo. I've got a Zero Hedge piece here that dropped 4 days ago. I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. It's clear to us that the status quo is unacceptable, Walmart Chief Executive Officer Doug McMillon said in a statement this morning after announcing that the massive retailer will cease selling some types of ammunition and ask customers to not openly carry firearms in its aisles in the wake of 2 deadly shootings in its stores. Quote, in a complex situation lacking a simple solution, we're trying to take constructive steps to reduce the risk that events like these will happen again. Okay. I tell you something, Walmart, You just lost a customer right here. I will personally attest, I am boycotting your ass. I am never stepping foot inside your store again. I can also attest that my parents are not stepping inside your store again. And my parents have various prescriptions which they need to be filled. They even used your pharmacy. They have changed pharmacies since you went out and virtue signaled like this. Okay. I don't think that you understand how you shot yourself in the foot like this, Walmart. I don't think that you really get it. Look at what happened to Dick's Sporting Goods when they came out and virtue signaled against guns. Okay. Walmart, I don't think that you realize that Academy is already built and major, huge Academy stores just about everywhere where you are right now. Now all of your people, all of your customers are going to go to Academy. You just chase them away. You just chase them away. I don't know, Luke, what do you think about it? Luke and I talked about this at length last night, dear listener, and we're going to play Tucker Carlson's audio about the Walmart thing this week at the first audio break. But before we get there, Luke, what are your initial thoughts about the whole Walmart situation?
Yeah, I mean, did nobody learn anything from the fallout from the Gillette commercial?
Right. There you go. Right.
Did nobody learn anything? And then also, like, not open carrying in the aisles. What is that going to accomplish? Do you honestly think that somebody who's going to go commit a mass shooting is going to stop and go, oh, but, I'm not supposed to open carry in the aisles. I guess I'm not going to do that now. It is, that is totally dishonest, totally disingenuous. You are casting guilt upon innocent people when you say these things. And not only that, you are putting people at more risk than they were before because now there's no good guys in there who have guns.
Exactly so.
You just disarmed in the wake of a mass shooting. Your answer was to disarm everybody from defending themselves. That is not an answer to the problem. That's inviting problems. Have we learned nothing from mass shootings, which is that generally speaking, they go to places where people can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
Because that can do so the answer to the situation is, let's make it more attractive to people wanting to do something like this.
Right. I mean, dear listener, were either Luke or I, the CEO of Walmart, what we would be saying is, we need more gun carriers up in our stores. Bring your guns.
Seriously. I do a flash sale on ammunition, here moving forward to make sure everyone comes there and with their ammunition. In fact, what I would do is I'd actually attach a shooting range to the backside of all of my Walmarts.
There you go, dude.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Absolutely correct, man. You have people, a 24-hour Walmart, you have people back there shooting at the shooting range 24 hours a day. Somebody comes in with an AR or whatever. Dude, it's not going to last long once this active shooter opens fire. It's not going to last long. Yeah, that's a great point, man. That is a great point. Yeah.
In fact, what I would do, I would put the shooting range on the front of the store so everyone has to pass through it to get into the Walmart. That would instantly become the safest shopping mart in the world.
It sure would, man. It sure would. Yeah.
Go to Walmart, pick up one of those delicious $5 cooked chickens, maybe a slice of pizza, shoot off some rounds, go back to work,
Straight up, man. Straight up. Yeah. What do you think Sam Walton would have done? I think Sam Walton would have rolled like we would. Straight up. I think he would. Yeah. He was pretty red, man. I think that he would do it the way we're saying right now. Like, hey, customers, please bring more guns to our stores. Carry them open, carry them concealed, however you want to carry them. You know what I mean? That's how I think he would roll. And this disgraced company, shadow of its former self, this is where they are. It's
amazing. So many, we should not conflate people with companies. Yes, companies comprise people, but these are just shitlib people graduating from universities, learning this crap, and then going in and getting their MBAs and being told that it's not shareholders you're worried about, it's stakeholders. It's all this nonsense that people are bringing into companies out of the university system. They learn this in university system, and then they just infect the culture. They just percolate into all of these companies out of university systems and start going, well, in university we learned that, we need to be worried about women's rights. And so, I think we should do a marketing campaign denigrating men, this whole thing. And then, you've got your like 55-year-old marketing exec, the chief marketing officer who's like, oh, wow, is that what the kids are on about these days? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for bringing the fresh blood into here. Yeah. Now I can present this. And this is the new edgy version of our marketing campaign. And then that's it. And then now you've got Gillette commercials, and you've got people who aren't allowed to carry in Walmart anymore, and all of this nonsense. It's these shit-lib social justice warriors who have been brainwashed in the university system, percolating into our companies. That's where this comes from.
Straight up, man. That's a God tier point. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, that's what's happening. And public indoctrination of our students, of our leaders, of everyone. You know what I mean? From grassroots up. I mean, I tell you something, that's something we need to start looking at, dear listener, taking back over public education system in the university system. We need to start thinking about getting our people in as teachers, administrators, college professors, and infiltrate it back and take it back. And it took the left, I don't know, Luke, I'd argue about 70 years to corrupt the education system. It's going to take us 70 years to take it back, dear listener, but we need to start thinking long term about things like this. Yeah,
I mean, the way you do it, you just privatize it entirely. But I was actually thinking, man, I want to make one of those. I want to make one of those expanding brain memes, where it ends up like, at the beginning you're against the funding free higher education, and then because it'll destroy the university system, and then it goes through a few of the expanding brains, and then it ends with being for free higher education because it'll destroy the higher education system.
Right. Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah. No, I love that meme, man. It's so funny. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think the hardest I've ever laughed at me, like a meme, is like an expanding brain meme thread. Yeah. Probably me too. I mean, I don't know, man. There've been some great Pepes along the way, some great President Trump memes along the way. It's hard to say, but probably me too, man. Those tend to be brainy. No pun intended. They tend to be brainy memes.
Yeah. There was one that was just 3, and it was the first one. Dear listener, this is a meme where it's like a text, or it's like a brain on the left, like an X-ray of a brain sort of a thing, and then some text on the right, like a statement. And then the brain's like a little brighter, and there's some lights emanating out from it. And then there's like a little more text, and the opinion has changed a little bit. And then it just goes down, and then it just becomes funny as the opinions change. And the funniest, well, not the funniest, but this one made me laugh, Russ. Somebody put this up. It said, it was just 3. And it said, there was a good and a bad side to there was a clear good and bad side to World War II. And then it said, it's difficult to determine if there was a good and a bad side to World War II. And then it said, there was a clear good and bad side to World War II.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's pretty funny stuff. Oh, man. All right. Well, should we hit it, man? Should we hit break real fast?
Yeah, dude, let's do break.
All right. Dear listener, we're going to play some Tucker Carlson audio for you on this audio break. It was Tucker taking down Walmart in his opening statement on, I believe it was Wednesday. So we hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much for riding along. We're about 1/3 of the way through this 53 miles so far. We've got a long way to go yet, dear listener, and much, much, much to get to. So thank you so much for riding along with us so far. Here is Tucker Carlson. We'll be back at you before you know it.
But first, a major shift in social policy that every American ought to be paying some attention to. Yesterday, Walmart, which is the world's largest retailer, announced that it is now taking sides in the gun debate. The company announced it will no longer sell handgun ammunition in its stores, nor, Walmart says, will it stock common rifle rounds that can be, quote, also used in large capacity clips on military-style weapons. And then the company went even further than that. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon issued a strident statement calling on Congress to ban many semi-automatic rifles that Americans have, as well as to seize firearms from some Americans who have not been convicted of a crime or even charged with anything. For a company that operates primarily in rural America, all of this was a big step. How do rural Americans feel about it? Well, we can only guess at that. There's not a lot of polling going on in Tudot, Montana or Roxbury, Maine. But we do know that in the most expensive parts of New York City and Washington and Los Angeles, all the smart people were deeply impressed. They love Walmart now.
You know, good for Walmart for doing this. And these are weapons of war.
Maybe what's actually happening here is Walmart is listening to its own customers and listening to the American people who want changes not only in the stores, but in society.
You have business being able to act in a more enlightened and more agile way than government does.
At least Walmart today announced new action, insisting that the status quo is unacceptable.
I was surprised, happily surprised. I think this is a momentous decision, a watershed moment.
So now Walmart is more, quote, enlightened than government is, says liberals. Now that's a fascinating turnaround because for years, you'll remember, Walmart was the target of coordinated attacks from the left. Progressives used to attack the company for destroying small-town America and for exploiting workers. Walmart hired PR consultants and union busters to push back for years. But the company never really changed the way it does business. And yet somehow the left has mostly stopped attacking them. How'd that happen? Well, part of the answer is that liberals got rich and then lost interest in economics. They adopted identity issues instead. But Walmart, meanwhile, figured out that it could buy immunity from criticism from the left by mouthing left-wing pieties. That's all it takes, really. Sounding woke, and they'll leave you alone. Notice that Walmart plans to sell the remainder of its AR-15 ammunition. So this couldn't really be about saving lives, obviously. It's about the money. It's only about the money. And that's not a surprise because there's a lot of money at stake. By revenue, Walmart is the largest company in the world. The Walton family is the richest family in America. Collectively, they're worth more than $150 billion. How'd they get so rich? Well, by selling foreign goods to domestic consumers. Cheap Chinese garbage manufactured offshore in factories that pay slave wages, wages that American manufacturers could never match. According to one study from 2001 to 2013, America actually lost 400,000 jobs thanks to Walmart's reliance on Chinese imports. And it shows. Here's what many American towns look like today, thanks to Walmart. Here are some of the gleaming new cities that the communist Chinese government built with the profits. Look at that. Don't you wish we had that? We don't. At times, Walmart sold goods at a loss just long enough to drive American competitors out of business completely. Smaller retail and the jobs they provided just vanished. In many places, Walmart became one of the few remaining employers. As of today, more than 1.5 million Americans at any one time work at Walmart, and it's not, by and large, an improvement over what we had before, and it's not getting better. In 2005, for example, 20% of Walmart employees worked part-time at the company. Today, the majority work part-time. Why? You know why. If Walmart keeps employees' hours low enough, it can avoid paying them benefits. People can't really live like that, and Walmart knows it. But they know the federal government, that is to say you, taxpayers, will subsidize their low wages with welfare benefits. In other words, you are working so that the Walton family won't have to pay their employees enough to live. That's happening right now, but we're not talking about it because Walmart is now pushing gun control. So take 3 steps back and let's think about what's happening here. The company more responsible than any other company for destroying and degrading rural America, for making our towns uglier and cheaper and poorer, the same people who push the appalling lie that brightly colored plastic crap from China is going to make us happy, that company is now lecturing normal Americans, the very Americans they have hurt, about how immoral they are for daring to protect themselves with firearms. That's what they're saying. And everyone in Washington, New York, and Los Angeles is applauding them as they do it. It's not a good sign. Victor Davis Hanson is a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution, and he joins us tonight. Professor, does it worry you that the biggest American corporation can work against one of our constitutionally protected rights and the left applauds? Do you think the left would applaud if Walmart made it harder for people to vote or be tried by a jury? Would they think that was a good thing?
Yeah, I am worried about it because we have all these constitutional protected rights, the right to free speech and the right to bear arms in the Second Amendment, but if you can't actually actualize them, they don't mean much. So I'm a professor. If I go on campus and I teach a class or I give a lecture and I criticize partial birth abortion or climate change, I'm going to have a problem, and I'm not going to have full rights of free speech. And people are not that they can't go to a rural Walmart and buy ammunition for a legal gun to protect their families. They really don't have full use of the Second Amendment. The problem, I think, Tucker, is that Walmart told us, and I'm speaking as a rural American, that what damage we did to local commerce is balanced by giving cheap, affordable, good goods to the middle classes, and that's okay. But once they venture into cosmic morality, don't fool yourself. It's a bottom business line. They've made a business decision that what customers they'll lose in rural America is more than offset by what you said, the virtue signaling left, wealthy, liberal, cosmopolitan stores. But also they feel that maybe people will go shop more at Walmart now they're politically correct. And when you juxtapose this in cosmic morality, then you have to ask ourselves, they're the largest importer of Chinese goods in actual dollar amounts of any retailer. Yes. Percentage-wise, maybe not quite as much as Target or Costco. So there's 1 million people in re-education camps in China. They have surveillance of average citizens. There's no human rights. They steal patents, copyright, they dump, they manipulate currency. They've hollowed out the interior. And are we going to see now Walmart say, you know what? Just as we've taken a courageous stand about the Second Amendment and we want to curb gun violence, now we're going to curtail our purchases from China. And then the final thing is, this is what we do now in America. We virtue signal about problems that we can't really understand or solve. Exactly. And that's sort of psychological recompense. So if you really want to stop gun violence and you're really Walmart, you're worried about the 11 to 14,000 people who are killed every day, 96% of them are killed with handguns, and another 95% are not lost in mass shootings of 4 or more people. They're inner city youth using illegal handguns. So Walmart could say, we need laws that make it really tough for an ex-felon or somebody with a record to have a handgun in his possession or to commit a felony, or we want longer prison sentences for people who shoot people. They can't do that because that's a political firestorm if they were to do that. That might save inner city youth, but they pick and choose selectively to virtue signal morality, and often it's because the existential problem they have no clue how to handle, and they feel good about doing something that won't have any practical effect.
So I'm fascinated by what you said, that the left, and it's not just the left, it's our ruling class, it's the people who make most of the decisions in this country, intentionally seek problems that cannot be solved, such as climate, to focus their attention on, and then at the same time ignore solvable problems, potentially.
Yeah, I think that's what I called that once in an article, the Bloomberg syndrome. When Mayor Bloomberg couldn't get the snow off the streets of New York, I think it was 2013, then he started lecturing everybody about supersized Coca-Colas. Right. And we see that in California with Gavin Newsom and others. They'll talk about the dangers of dogs chasing cougars or plastic straws because they don't have a clue how to get 300,000 people off the streets that are using drugs and defecating. And that's really a dangerous thing that people, social media encourages it. We're also careful to offer advice about a misdemeanor because we don't have a clue about the felony. So
Professor,
a real courageous decision.
You've set up our next segment more skillfully than I ever could, and I appreciate that. We're about to have that exact conversation. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Tucker.
So case in point to what Professor Hansen was just saying, San Francisco, the city plagued with massive problems, obvious problems if you ever go there, huge homeless population, needles, human waste piled on sidewalks, no exaggeration, car break-ins at the highest level in the country. The city government, though, doesn't care about this. They have other priorities, including, this week, the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco labeled the National Rifle Association a domestic terror organization. Watch this.
Supervisor Catherine Stephanie wrote the scathing declaration, reading in part, quote, "The National Rifle Association spreads propaganda that misinforms and aims to deceive the public about the dangers of gun violence."
The NRA has it coming to them, and I will do everything that I possibly can to call them out on what they are, which is a domestic terrorist organization.
The irony, of course, is that the Bay Area is the headquarters of a domestic terror organization, Antifa. But don't expect the Board of Supervisors to condemn Antifa anytime soon. Katie Pavlich is an editor at townhall.com, and she joins us tonight. So, Katie, really simple question. Who's killed more, I would ask you, NRA members or judges in San Francisco who've let heroin dealers back into the city?
judges in San Francisco, and let's not bring up the illegal alien who used a gun to kill Kate Steinle illegally. But that's a whole other issue that San Francisco doesn't want to talk about. Tucker, I think with all of these smears that the left has thrown at the NRA over the past couple of months, but especially in recent times, I think it's important to talk about what the NRA is and what it actually does. The NRA was founded in 1871. It is one of the oldest civil rights organizations in America. Charlton Heston, who went on to be the NRA president, marched with Martin Luther King Jr., was standing on the Lincoln Memorial steps when he gave his I Have a Dream speech. Roy Innis, who was a civil rights icon, he served on the NRA board of directors for 25 years until his death in 2017. I have met thousands of NRA members. I'm a lifetime member. These people like personal responsibility. They like freedom. They believe in the Second Amendment. And that is why they are members of the NRA. Right. And I think it's important to be clear. People don't own firearms because of the NRA, as San Francisco says in this stupid ordinance that they passed. They own firearms because they have a constitutional right to do so to protect themselves and their families. And everything that NRA members represent, rural America, individualism, personal responsibility, is what the left hates. And it's the NRA that is responsible for thousands of hours of gun safety training, thousands of hours of hunter education training, and thousands of hours of work on real legislation that just went through, for example, the Fix NICS program, which actually does more to help with the background check system in this country so people who shouldn't have guns don't have them.
Well,
whereas the left just accuses them of being terrorists and does nothing about the issue.
Well, that's kind of the crux of it. And by the way, a lot of us who believe in the Second Amendment and think the Constitution is worth preserving are rooting for the NRA and, hope that its leadership gets its act together and protects the Second Amendment, for real, because it's important. But the irony, it seems to me, in this case is you just had a guy who murdered someone right in the Embarcadero in downtown San Francisco with an illegal gun. Right. And leadership in San Francisco is like, no big deal.
Well, Tucker, leadership in San Francisco and the left in Washington, D.C. attack the NRA as if it's not made up of people, as if it's not made up of Americans. There are 5 million members. And yes, the leadership at this very moment has some things to work out, that's for sure. But the membership has been there since 1871. And these are people who believe in their constitutional rights, who believe they should be defended. And the left, it's deeper for them. It's not just about guns. It's about what people in the NRA represent, what their values are, a traditional American values, and wanting freedom from the government to take care of themselves so they don't have to go to the government and ask for help when the government can't be there to protect them.
Exactly.
They want to do it themselves, which is why the Second Amendment is so important to them. And for San Francisco and other leftist politicians to continually smear them and accuse 5 million Americans of being domestic terrorists when they're not the ones shooting up schools and they're not the ones carrying out mass shootings. They're doing the opposite by trying to prevent them through legislation and by educating people about the respectful and lawful use of firearms.
Yeah. So a moral lecture from the people who preside over violence and chaos aimed at the most peaceful parts of our country, is a lot to swallow, I would say, as you point out.
Well, and those people want to disarm people in San Francisco from defending themselves against the violent people on the streets in San Francisco.
Not sustainable.
Nope.
Katie, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
All right, dear listener, welcome back to HSP episode number 53. Well, I liked what I heard there towards the end, Russ.
Yeah, man.
I actually don't have much of a problem with background checks, with doing more. Well, we should say real background checks. I don't really have much of a problem with that, I have to say.
Yeah, it's one of these things I go back and forth about. The simple fact of the matter is that we already do have background checks, but at the same time, I don't want psychopathic killers having access to legal firearms. Now, I do know for a fact that if they want a gun, they're going to get it anyway on the black market. This is 100% true. Hence the problem of Chicago week after week after week. But I'm tempted to agree with you that I don't like background checks. Where I take exception with background checks is when we begin to start talking about universal background checks, where you can no longer, for example, sell a firearm to someone right? Or give a firearm to someone Everybody has to get a background check in this private transaction, right? Now, as far as going to a counter and buying a gun, yes, absolutely, background check them, right? But, I mean, Luke, personally, I don't know, man. People may vary on this. I would never sell a gun to a stranger, or give a gun to a stranger. I definitely would like to, buy my brother a gun for Christmas, right? But now that is going to totally be spoiled by this notion of universal background checks, because my brother would have to get a background check. I would have to get a background check. The surprise of a Christmas gift would be absolutely ruined. And then we would have to go through an intermediary of a federal firearms license dealer, an FFL, right, in order to make that transaction. And so that's where I have a problem with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I think that maybe there could be something litigated in court, like if you knowingly sold somebody a weapon so that they could go commit a crime with it. Like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
I think that's something that could be litigated in court, no problem. But yeah, I don't mind background checks. Yeah, businesses selling guns for the same reason. I wouldn't want somebody with a history of terroristic activities applying for a pilot's license.
Right.
Right. I have no problem with that.
Right. Yeah. Same here. I'm right there with you on that, man.
Yeah. Like if, an Antifa member, if a known Antifa member with, 7 charges of civil unrest and disturbing the peace and all of this applies for a lorry or a, trucking license, I might think twice about that,
Yeah. And it's funny you say that. There was a story that broke yesterday. There were documents. Sarah Carter reported on this yesterday. Some documents were leaked from the FBI where they confirmed that they have been surveilling Antifa on the border because Antifa is amassing there, particularly in the El Paso sector, and they're buying firearms, seeming to agitate for a shooting fight against Border Patrol or something like that, right? They didn't go far as to say that, but that's what it looks like to me, right? Yeah, why are these people allowed to buy guns? Seriously, why are they allowed to buy guns? They're known Antifa members sitting there trying to arm up and shoot it out with Border Patrol and rush in 50,000 illegals. You know what I mean? Why is this allowed to happen? I'm with you. I've got a serious problem with that, right? But everybody we know to a person, I really don't have a problem with them having a firearm at all. You know what I mean? Past the background check, sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. But Antifa gearing up for a war in El Paso, that's a problem. That's a problem,
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but
yeah.
I hope that happens.
Yeah.
I just want Border Control to just absolutely BTFO them.
Yeah.
And then it's all out on the table. They are Red Army faction in America.
Yeah.
Because that's what they are. And just short of a bombing, hell, they've already tried a bombing, just short of an outright just shootout, just short of an actual battle. They've done everything required that would indicate that they are just nothing more but Red Army faction, the America version of Red Army faction.
Man, so I've got to prevail the favor of a question, man. We didn't even talk about this at the end of segment 1, man. What do you think about this shit that the San Francisco Board of Supervisors did, declaring the NRA a domestic terrorist organization, man? What do you think about this?
Yeah, I don't know what is the fallout from that going to be? What is the purpose of other than just virtue signaling?
What they have done is that they have said any contractor working for the city of San Francisco, if they have known affiliations to the NRA, they can no longer work for San Francisco. Okay, that's one thing. So they're directly affecting their vendor market in San Francisco by this. So that's one bit of fallout. The rest of it is that they, quite frankly, are just going to be laughed at and scoffed by everybody in the rest of America. That's really all it accomplishes. Yeah, but I am an NRA member, right? For example, in San Francisco, I would have been probably chased out of town after the Board of Supervisors made this virtue signal, right? I certainly would not have been allowed to work for the city of San Francisco as an NRA member, right? It's pretty crazy. You know what I mean? That's pretty crazy. So, yeah. But it's just as ultimately ineffectual as everything the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco does. Everything.
Yeah, we won't be able to do any media business consulting with the San Francisco government, local government now.
Right. That's right.
We're too radical for them.
Man, you just opened a beer.
No, I opened a Goldberg and Sons. I don't even know what this is. It's a mixed drink. It's like a spirit mixed drink. I'm not drinking beer anymore.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Okay. So, yeah, well, unfortunately, man, I don't have a can here with me, but I do have a bottle of whiskey. I'm going to pour myself out a little bit. You know, why not? Why not, man? It's 53. It's a prime number episode. We're good.
Yeah, dude, totally. Go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
But, Tucker did make I don't know if you were away from the horn at the time that Tucker made the comment, but like Victor Davis Hanson and Tucker were talking about like what the left always does is that they glom onto insignificant problems that mean nothing. You know, things like banning plastic straws and all this kind of stuff so that they can virtue signal in order to avoid the hard decisions about things like mass shootings, things like homeless people on the street, things like human shit all over the streets, heroin needles all over the streets, because that would require courageous action. So they shun it and avoid it and find some other trivial issue to virtue signal about.
Yeah.
And an unsolvable problem, which is good for the left, right? They'll glom onto a problem that they can't solve because then they can always just be fighting, never winning, never solving the problem, but they can also sit here and virtue signal constantly. And this is what the left always does. And Tucker mentioned to Victor Davis Hanson the specific issue of climate change, the specific issue of the unsolvable problem of climate change. And dang, dear listener, if we did not have a bunch of action as far as climate change goes this week.
Oh my God. I mean, it has officially elevated to religion status.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, crusade, religion, status. Yes. And I mean, not to mention, dear listener, Luke and I have already BTFO'd this premise all the way out of the water. Himself admitted that it wasn't a global health issue. It was not a climate issue, that it was an economic oppression issue, that they were trying to reform capitalism, as he said, right, and bring in socialism. There is no premise behind this ideology. It is literally just religion. It is a faith-based religion this week. And just as Luke talked about in segment 1 about how Pete Buttigieg kind of showed his ass regarding abortion this week, dang, did the leftists not show their ass this week regarding climate change? Oh my God, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, man.
It is the overarching narrative.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. Because now the people, they know. They're all out in the open and everybody knows what they're all about. It's great. And I would be interested to see how it polls.
Yeah, me too. Well, I mean, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen if you were just kind of, you know, picking up your crystal ball and looking into the future like Marianne Williamson? What do you think? What do you see?
Is she still running or did she drop out?
No, I think she's still in. But she came out this week like, oh my God, the left are so mean. I had no idea. I've always been a leftist, but I never knew that they lied like this, because they came out and made fun of her about being a crystal gazer, right? And that's a literal fact. But she did not make the main stage for the next debate. But I don't think she's out yet. I don't think so.
Well, what I think is going to happen is that, you know, CNN is doing these forums, these town halls. And I think it's absolutely fantastic, because it puts them all on the same stage, and then they all have to out virtue signal each other. And because the starting point of their ideology is so, in the case of specifically climate change, so evil, because it is anti-human life. Fundamentally, at its core, its most basic principle is anti-human life. It's being against the existence of humans. It's a view of human beings that they are a blight on the planet, and that the best thing that we could do is stop procreating, which apparently Bernie is all about. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Stop procreating and then seek to cease to exist as a species and just die off. And then just let the earth return to whatever, to its natural state, because that's the ideal is existence without human intervention.
Yep.
That is the ideal existence without human intervention.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you see, dear listener, like we have no business on this planet at all. We should just be dead. We should just let this rock flourish and thrive on its own and let all the animals be free and have nobody managing this planet. This planet is not well for us, right? We shouldn't even be here. We're destroying this planet, absolutely destroying it, right? And man, did Bernie show his ass about that this week, man.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say really quickly before we get into that it just dawned on me that what environmentalism is dispensing with an entire category of fact, just eradicating an entire category of fact. So Rand wrote about this, and Peikoff did too, about there being two types of facts. All facts are one of two types. They're either metaphysical facts, which are facts about existence as such, which just naturally are, like a mountain, for example, is just a metaphysical fact that's just there. And then there's man-made facts, which are facts about reality, which man has introduced, and it's only those kinds of facts with which morality can even address. So you're not making a moral judgment, a moral estimation of the existence of a mountain, right? But you are making a moral estimation of should we put a road through it or not.
Right.
And environmentalism as an ideology seeks to eradicate the entire category of fact, which are man-made facts. That's the goal, is just to just eradicate all of that out of existence, which subsumes everything beneath it: morality, politics, art, all of it. Every single man-made fact about existence, they are fundamentally opposed to. So it's that entire category of fact that they want to light on fire and burn out of existence.
Yeah.
And this,
absolutely.
I mean, that's how it is actual pure nihilism, which is, just burning. It's not morality or immorality. It's the absence of morality as such. It's not good art or bad art. It's the absence of art as such. It's not good politics or bad politics. It's the absence of politics entirely. That's what they are agitating for.
Yeah, and you just hit the nail on the head perfectly, man. The astounding level of philosophical nihilism as argued through the lens of political nihilism this week by the left has astounded me, dude. Frankly, just astounded me. It is absolute nihilism. And I agree with you, man. More of this, please. More of this. They're going to have another one of these 7-hour town halls, I think, in a couple of weeks, and they're going to be discussing LGBTQ issues.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, totally.
Let's do it. Yeah. And I mean, listen, Luke and I are LGBTQ friendly. You know what I mean? Luke and I both have homosexual friends that we love dearly, right? This is going to be something that when they come out and virtue signal about this, I'll already tell you what's going to happen, dear listener. We're going to flip every argument in their next town hall against them, as we are also about to flip every argument against them from this climate change town hall this week.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
and I'm glad about the order, because this sort of puts everybody into a certain disposition, a certain headspace that will color all of the remaining ones. If they got started like at a slow pace and then came to a sprint later, then people might have had an easier introduction. It might have been a pill that was easier swallowed. But when they just come straight out of the gates with climate change like this, they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, whoa. Like, yeah, these people are nuts. And then now when they see the LGBTQ blah 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 one, they're gonna be looking for those moments again, whereas they otherwise wouldn't be. So I'm really glad they came straight out of the gate with the climate change one, because now that colors how everyone is going to watch all of the ones heretofore.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that they moved the ball too far forward, right, with this climate change thing, because they use this as a vehicle to argue for all of this other leftist cause, right?
Yeah.
And thereby completely revealed their ass. You know what I mean? And you know what I just thought of, Luke? Man, we've got to remember this. I cannot wait for Brandon Straka's take on the LGBTQ town hall.
That's going to be good.
That is going God tier. Yeah, we got to remember to play that. Yeah, because it's going to be something. You can believe that. It's going to be something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah, but man, they just are so confident in themselves. They are so arrogant. They are so disdainful of normal American citizens that they really think that they're just going to get away with it. And they overstep themselves this week, man.
Yeah.
And I think it's falling down, to be honest. I mean, first and foremost, dear listener, it must be noted that viewership of this climate change town hall was in the absolute toilet. Everybody else on every other major network, BTFO'd them for that 7-hour slog in every single time slot. Nobody watched it, okay?
Yeah.
People were just kind of waiting for the highlight reel. I wasn't going to sit through that thing. There's no way I was going to sit through that, So we've got it condensed down into little convenient sound bites now and all this kind of stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that people are glomming onto. But there is a problem with this. And I actually had to go back and do a little bit more research about this, as did Luke, I would bet. When you isolate down to little sound bites like this, all of the context within which that soundbite happened is lost. That context must be examined, right? And so Luke and I have kind of done the work about what was going on, really what the agenda was here with this climate change town hall this week, Yeah.
So, we should get into it now.
Yeah, let's do it. So, man, let's just play this Bernie clip here real quick. You want to play that real fast?
Yeah.
All right. So, dear listener, Bernie is asked a question at this town hall by this, as Luke said, this thing. And here is Bernie's answer. We're going to play the question and answer in its entirety because the context is important. Here we go.
Human population growth has more than doubled in the past 50 years. The planet cannot sustain this growth. I realize this is a poisonous topic for politicians, but it's crucial to face. Empowering women and educating everyone on the need to curb population growth seems a reasonable campaign to enact. Would you be courageous enough to discuss this issue and make it a key feature of a plan to address climate catastrophe?
Well, Martha, the answer is yes. And the answer has everything to do with the fact that women in the United States of America, by the way, have a right to control their own bodies.
There it goes.
Productive decisions.
There it goes.
You go, Bernie.
And the Mexico City Agreement, which denies American aid to those organizations around the world that allow women to have abortions or even get involved in birth control, to me is totally absurd. So I think, especially in poor countries around the world, where women do not necessarily want to have large numbers of babies, and where they can have the opportunity through birth control to control the number of kids they have, something I very, very strongly support.
Dang.
So
did you get it?
You
got it, dear listener?
We eugenics now.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Luke. Yes. We need to support more abortions around the world. We need to go wipe out more babies. We need to make sure that the human population is contained because we are dangerous to our environment. And so we are going to support abortions all around the world going forward in efforts to contain climate change. That's what he said right there. He just said it. You heard it in his own words, not my mockery of him. You heard it right there. So he just absolutely bound together the leftist abortion cause and climate change. Climate change.
Eugenics.
Yeah.
This is the state we are in now. The left is using euphemisms for eugenics. This is where, that escalated quickly.
Didn't it, though? Oh, dang.
They'll probably couch it like in something. They'll be like, it's compassionate eugenics.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, common sense eugenics.
Yes, common sense eugenics, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's great. Oh, man. I'm going to tweet that after the show.
All right, good, man. Good. Yeah. So,
common sense eugenics, yeah. So you're going to, are we going to make them get a background check before they get an abortion?
Right. Oh, man.
Maybe maybe you have to give if they do have ties to terrorist organizations, then you have them. Then it's a forced abortion. So women have to get background checks to have kids.
Yeah. We're gonna do common sense eugenics. We're gonna eugenicize all of these terrorists all around the world.
No, it'll be, what they'll do is it'll be a social background check. So they'll check your social media history, and if you're in favor, if you're a climate change advocate, on the left, then you're allowed to have a child. That'll be, so it's this social credit background check, and then everyone else has to have abortions.
Yeah. Man, I mean, listen, I don't want to laugh about this shit, dude, because in 50 years from now, if the left wins right now, it could literally become like that, right? You have to be sterilized.
Look at China.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What was China if not that?
Yeah.
I mean, not it didn't play out that way, but forcing women to have abortions for political ends. Just the very thought of it has already I think they've done away with the one-child policy, right?
They had to, because there were too many women being born and not enough men. So they had to kind of get rid of that. But I think do they have a 2-child policy now?
I think maybe
3-child policy. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, don't think that won't happen. That can't happen. I mean, it was for different reasons, but it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're absolutely nuts. And not only that, but Bernie, I mean, he just got some things factually wrong there too. Assuming that women in these other countries don't want to have so many kids. The reason they have so many kids is for 2 reasons. One is that they don't have modern medicine. So the child mortality rate is way higher than it is here. So you have 10 kids and maybe 4 of them survive to adulthood, or 3 or even less. And then the other reason is that they're not as productive as we are. So they don't have the machinery, they don't have the machines, the factories, the technology to be as productive as we are. So they have to have a bunch of kids to work on the farm. And guess what?
Exactly so.
In the West, it was the same way right up until the Industrial Revolution. And immigrants coming to other countries. This is why I'm not too worried about immigrants coming into Europe and having a whole bunch of kids, because as soon as they get here, they realize they don't need to. I mean, having 7 kids is suboptimal. That's a pain in the ass. It's expensive. Nobody really wants that. You want 1, 2, 3 kids, something like that. So you see time and again when immigrants, come into another country, their birth rate just plummets because they're like, oh shit. Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's only have 2 kids. We don't need to have 10, Right. So yeah, I mean, this is just a natural phenomenon. And I don't think that in the slums of Mumbai, the women over there are over there going, oh, we need birth control and this sort of thing.
Right. Certainly not in Africa, in every country in Africa, certainly not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think they're I don't think they got sex ed class in 6th grade.
Right.
Where they need to, where they're thinking about birth control now.
Oh God, Africa! All of these Africans breeding like rabbits. We're going to have to do something about it, or we're going to lose our Earth. We're going to lose the climate change war. And I probably ought to cut that out, but that's literally what Bernie is talking about right there. I didn't say it, Bernie did, and
don't cut it. Yeah, that's what he said. He said it.
Yeah,
he said it on national television. These people are off the reservation.
Yeah.
It's over, dude. When I saw this on TV, not on TV, but when I saw it, I was like, 2020, it's over. This is it. Nobody can watch this. And nobody who isn't already completely brainwashed can watch this and actually agree with half the things that they talked about. It's absolute batshit craziness.
Well, it is, but Luke, it is also, this shit from Bernie right here is one of the most purely evil things I've ever heard. It is batshit crazy, and it is absolute evil. It is pure wickedness. Everything this man just said. Everything.
The idea of making taxpayers pay for abortions and birth control of for women in other countries is absurd. He clearly doesn't understand the history of Planned Parenthood, which really was a eugenics organization in India, in these other countries, in China, in India, in all of these other countries. They actually they believed that they were racially inferior, and Planned Parenthood was an organization which took a lot of funding from the Rockefeller Foundation, many other large organizations, and they would go into these other countries and set up abortion clinics explicitly for the purpose of eugenics, because they were viewed as being racially inferior. There's recorded phone calls, I think, with, I can't remember which president it was, maybe Nixon. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
There's recorded phone conversations
of
them talking about this. Maybe it was LBJ. I can't remember. It's like right around that time.
Yeah.
But there's recorded conversations of them talking about this. And so Planned Parenthood is an organization that came into existence for the purpose of eugenics, of erasing people they perceive to be racially inferior. Don't believe me. Go read about it. Go look it up yourself.
Absolutely.
And then, now here they are. And in many ways, they almost do the same thing in the United States when you look at the race-based statistics of abortions in the U.S.
It's true.
Yeah. It's horrific.
Well, that is until Donald Trump tricked them into foregoing their $500 million worth of funding from the federal government every year.
Wait, what? I didn't know about this.
Yeah. They gave up their funding because they're like, oh my God, this administration, we're not going to have anything to do with this. We refuse this federal funding. Oh my God. I can't remember all the details because, man, that was in the ancient history of 3 weeks ago. So this immediately became a meme on Twitter and elsewhere. Donald Trump tricks Planned Parenthood into giving up their federal funding.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that, Planned Parenthood is a purely evil organization. There are some services for women that they offer, particularly, impoverished women that are good. Some women's health issues. So I'm not going to say that they're wholesale evil. What I will say about Planned Parenthood is this. Yes, it was founded as a eugenics organization, and what the true evil of Planned Parenthood is at this moment is that what they truly are is a lobbying organization. So what they do is accept $500 million, somewhere between $500 million and $1 billion per year from the federal government, and spend most of that money not taking care of women, going back and using that money to lobby the federal government. It is a leftist, publicly funded lobbying organization. That also is pretty evil. You know what I mean? That also
totally.
is pretty evil. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, they do things like, pap smears and things like this for women in interest of their health. So I'm not going to write them off as absolutely, purely, wholly evil, but they were founded in evil and they do some evil political shit. And there's no doubt about it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And And what you said is entirely correct about the racial statistics about how many abortions happen at Planned Parenthood by race. Dude, it's some really shocking stuff when you look at it. It really is. Let's put it this way, dear listener. It is overwhelmingly African-American abortions that happen at Planned Parenthood. Overwhelmingly. More than 50% alone are African-American. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Did you see the guy that would make these phone calls and record them? Did you see this? To Planned Parenthood?
I don't think
centers?
so, no.
Okay. He called one and he was like, yeah, I'm interested in making a donation to fund abortions. And the lady who answered the phone, she was like, oh, okay, that's very generous of you, sir. Thank you. And then he was like, yeah, he's like, but here's the thing. And I don't know if this is okay or not. I'm only interested in funding abortions of African-American babies.
Dang.
He's like, is that okay? And they were like, well, if that's what you want to put your money towards, then
are you serious?
I swear to God, dude, it went all over the internet a few months ago. He was like,
oh my God.
So he was like, I just want to make sure. So I only want to pay for the abortions of African American women. And they're like, we can do that, sir.
Oh my God. Wow. That is, man, first of all, that's a God tier troll. Second of all,
yeah,
that is purely evil right there. That is purely evil, So, dang.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe, it went viral I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
Wow. Yeah, man, that one was missed upon me. Just when you think you catch everything, something major like that gets past you, and it.
Well, this is what we say. Between the two of us, we catch everything.
Between the two of us, yeah, that's right. Yeah, man, but like on this climate shit, man. All right, so did you hear about Buttigieg coming out in his little bit on the climate segment, on the climate town hall, saying that this is our World War II, that this is a war that we must win. This is going to be hard. This is going to require determination, but this is our World War II. This is our generation's World War II. Did you hear about that stuff?
Well, that's all Green New Deal stuff.
Exactly. That's
Justice League Democrats
talking point.
Yeah,
absolutely verbatim. That tells you exactly where Pete Buttigieg is in terms of his politics. He's a Justice League Democrat trying to act like he's not, but he is. That's their talking point.
Yeah, if you go look at like all their appearances on the Young Turks, like before Justice League Democrats were an actual thing, they were doing they did several appearances on the Young Turks. And it was Chakrabarty, the other moronic guy from Tennessee. I don't remember his name. And then the other girl who's the more annoying version of AOC. And she's some, it's like the three of them. They're kind of the three people who really make up the Justice League Democrats. And they did a few appearances on the Young Turks. And this was before AOC, before Justice League Democrats were a thing. And everything that they say, it's all the same language that you're hearing now a couple years later. It's our World War II, all this sort of thing. It's all the same language. They were saying it before AOC ever was a thing. And AOC inherited all of those talking points, that vocabulary, that language. And now you're seeing it has now percolated into the Democratic primaries, where now the presidential candidates have adopted their language and their talking points.
Yes.
Which is totally pathetic. You have somebody like Pete Buttigieg, who has an otherwise very impressive resume, adopting talking points from a girl who graduated college like 3 years ago.
Right.
4 years ago. I don't know. She's like in her mid-20s. And then another guy who was just like a software developer who just went full Bernie bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. And like Pete Buttigieg is adopting their talking points. It's pathetic. It's totally pathetic.
It is. And, dear listener, just to, because I know that most of you don't get to listen to Rush Limbaugh during your day. You're busy. Rush Limbaugh happens in the middle of the day. I seldom get to listen to Rush, but I heard him knock it out of the park on this one segment this week. Let's just throw down some statistics about what's going on right now. We have decreased our CO2 emissions to pre-1984 levels, okay? It is a massive decrease in CO2 emissions, right? By virtue of, carbon inspections in California, all this kind of stuff, catalytic converters, which get better and better and better as we go on. Technology really has reduced smog. LA is not a smog cesspool anymore like it used to be. Sometimes it is, to be fair, but not always like it used to be.
Now it's a smog cesspool.
Ain't that right, though? Ain't that right? Yeah, so anyways, the largest emitter of CO2, carbon dioxide, is China, by far. Right behind China is India. China itself more than doubles the combined CO2 emissions of the United States and Europe. Doubles it. India is right there behind them, okay? Everybody talks about the great plastic garbage, the size of Texas, whatever you call it, the garbage patch there in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. China itself has dumped so much plastic into the ocean that they account for 1/3 of all of that plastic there. It is not back and forth international shipping. It is China dumping in their rivers that wash into the ocean. They account for 1/3 of that. What we can trace is that this is something that Rush didn't say. What we can trace is that all of that plastic garbage there in the Pacific Ocean is accounted for by 9 rivers, 5 of which come from China, 2 of which come from India, and 2 come from South America. None of it comes from the United States. Okay. Do you see what the logic is here, dear listener? It's your fault. It is your fault that China pollutes like this. It is your fault that India pollutes like this. You have to do something about it. You have to give up plastic straws and everything else for environmental justice. Dang, we haven't even gotten to Cory Booker's talking point about this, environmental racism and environmental justice.
Oh, God.
Good God almighty, right? But dear listener, even though it is literally China and India's fault, you have to pay the cost. You have to bear the burden of it. That's what the leftists want from you right now. Now, the point that Rush makes is this, and it's a God tier point, right? If this literally is our World War II, if this is so dangerous to our species, to our planet, why in the hell are we not invading China and India right now? Why are we not stacking up our military and going to war with them right now if this literally is a World War II situation? Because they are the ones that caused this population. They are the ones that are causing the end of the human species, the end of our planet. Why do we not go to war with them? Why do we not invade them? I think it's a logical conclusion. It's perfectly rational. Seriously. I really, truly do. What do you think about that, man?
I don't like it, dude. I don't like that as an arguing point.
Because it's Rush being satirical is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think that when he was talking about we release less CO2 now than we did in 1985. I don't think that was satirical. I think he was probably being serious.
That's a fact. Yeah. That is a literal fact.
But even pointing that out is cucking the point. Even pointing that out is a cucked argument. Because I would turn on them and I would say, well, that's not necessarily a good thing. You know, China putting out like climate related deaths plummeted directly in relation to an increase in our CO2 output.
Right.
You know, so like we are far safer to the extent that we've used fossil fuels and emitted CO2. So I would tell them
that's exactly right.
I would say that's actually not necessarily a good thing that we use less CO2 now. I'd be interested to know if climate-related deaths have been impacted by that. But the point is that we've gotten wealthy enough because of fossil fuels that now we can even begin to do something about our CO2 output. India's not wealthy enough to start putting up solar panels. I mean, what are you going to do? Turn your corrugated tin roof into a solar panel? Give me a break. Like, they need to rise up out of wealth before they can even begin to think about these things. And to do that, you have to emit a shitload of CO2. We know that because that's what we had to do.
Yep. That's right. You know, it goes back to the inherent contradiction of the Paris Climate Accord, as it is so known, right? Where Paris Climate Accord is built upon the premise, and we knocked this out in about HSP number 20, maybe HSP number 18 or something like that, dear listener. The entire Paris Climate Accord is built on the premise that fossil fuel consumption leads to prosperity, right? Therefore, these more prosperous nations need to cut it down a little bit, and these less prosperous nations need to burn more. We need to burn less so that they can burn more. They can produce more. They're allowed to produce more CO2, deadly CO2 emissions. Oh my God, right? Whereas, as a matter of fact, China and India were both like, middle finger to you. We're not signing on the Paris Climate Accord. We're not getting involved with this. We're going to burn all the fossil fuels we want, right?
Cast ourselves into poverty forever.
Right. Exactly.
Like just as we get a taste of wealth, now we have to throw it all away. No, we're cool on that.
Right.
You do you.
Yeah.
You get poor, we'll become richer. That's that's something that we're okay with.
Right. Yeah, it's the West's fault, right? What they really mean truly is that it's white people's fault. But they don't say that. They say modern civilized nations, but they mean white people.
Yeah.
That's truly what they mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they are anti-white, anti-male, anti-cisgender, all these groups, you know. But the straight white male is Satan incarnate to the left.
Exactly so.
All the other people, like straight white women, let's see, straight white women, and Christian black people, stuff like this. You know, they're more just like little goblins and demons running around to the left, but like Satan himself is the straight white male.
That's it. That's exactly it. The great white Satan, as Iran always says. The great white Satan is what they call this country. Yeah. And these little goblins and, little lesser demons are allowed to exist for now until we claim ultimate power. Then you got to go too, Christian blacks and white heterosexual women. Y'all got to go.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it's the delineation between who gets shot on sight and who gets sent to the gulag. That's the only different distinction there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's exactly it. Leading directly into this bullshit coming out of Cory Booker this week, his big claim to fame in this climate change town hall, oh my God, was environmental justice and environmental racism, because climate change is so evil and white men caused climate change, and they did it in order to oppress black people. And how can I prove this? Because climate disasters affect black people and people of color more than it does white people. That's literally his contention. Literally it.
Or
what you got to say about it, Luke?
Yeah, I was going to say, or you could understand that people with less are more affected by climate-related disasters. This is exactly what I'm talking about. To the extent that you use CO2 that you emit CO2, use fossil fuels, is the extent to which you're not impacted by climate-related disasters anymore. Guess what? Like in 1860, 1850, we'll call it, or 1840, the height of slavery, white people were just as adversely impacted by climate-related disasters as their own slaves.
Absolutely.
Why?
That's exactly it.
We didn't have the wealth yet. We hadn't produced the wealth yet. And then once, Rockefeller figured out how to bring oil to the masses, for cheap, which by the way killed the whaling industry, because before we were using whale blubber to make, for our lamps. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, like we can make plastics, we can create coats, we can create all the tents, and oh wow, now camping is a recreational activity and not something you do and hopefully you survive. So
with a denim tent, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now all of a sudden, like, climate's not that big of a deal. And the reason that, when he's talking about minorities are adversely impacted, that is the extent to which they don't have oil-based products. That's it. And they don't have access to fossil fuels for whatever reason, like people in India dying of heat stroke, this sort of thing.
Right.
If anything, you're making it even worse. If anything, the opposite is true. The more expensive you make the thing that they need to survive climate-related disasters is the extent to which you are persecuting them. You could make the opposite argument against him, because what he's saying is that, we need to ban all these things because it's climate. Well, look at history, Cory Booker. Look at history. Why do white people and why do wealthy people, and not just white, but wealthy black people and all these other, Westerners and everybody in the West, why is this not a big deal? Because of fossil fuels and oil-based products.
Yeah. I mean, every single one of these sons of bitches, Luke, mentioned Hurricane Dorian. And then, oh my God, look at the devastation in the Bahamas. Oh my God, these storms are getting worse and worse. Oh my God. No, they're not. Dorian was a much lesser hurricane than numerous we have on record, including the ones in Miami that hit Miami in 1935, I believe, and the one that hit Galveston in 1912, right? But let's flip this Dorian argument against them, and let's just look at it, okay? About half of the homes on the Big Island in the Bahamas, what's that island called? Is it called the Greater Bahamian Island? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Big Bahama. I can't remember. I'm thinking of the Big Island in Hawaii, and I'm getting conflated. It doesn't matter. The biggest island in the Bahamas, okay? About half of the structures were wiped out by Hurricane Dorian there, okay? And all of them are underwater. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are underwater. I've heard reports that about as much as 60% of the island is underwater, okay? So let's look at aerial photos. Just imagine, dear listener, and don't believe me, go look for yourself. Look at aerial photos of the destruction. What do you see that is destroyed, right? You see this shit like tin laying around, tin roofs that have been wiped out, okay? What do you see that survived? Concrete houses, concrete structures. What is the primary component of concrete? It's coal. It's coal. Concrete is directly a fossil fuel created product, right? Not to mention the fossil fuels that had to be expended in order to create that concrete in the first place. Not just used in the mix for concrete, it had to be used to create that concrete. What survived? Concrete, and steel, rebar as well, right? Ain't that fascinating, though? Ain't that fascinating? How is this lost upon the left, Luke? I mean, that's a simple observation. You just look at it and you're like, damn, man, all those, tin roofs are gone, all those wood shacks are gone, but man, those concrete buildings are still there. How is this lost upon the left? How do they think that nobody else sees this?
Because they hate humanity. They hate human beings.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Yeah, it's selective observation. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Selective observation is the right way to go.
Yeah, I know. These cucks, man, but they really went for it this week, Luke. They really tried to throw that Hail Mary pass into the Oval Office. And dude, in the meantime, they exposed themselves for the pure, evil, anti-humanitarian persons that they are to a person. Every single one of them showed their ass about it.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I think it was great. I think it was great for Donald Trump. I think it was great for the Republican Party. I think it was great, dude. More, please.
Dude, yeah. I mean, and let me cover this, and we should probably hit break.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I've got an article here. So in the midst of all of this, I've got an article from thehill.com. Is the Hill right wing or left wing? I don't even know.
Definitely left wing, but they do feature. Yeah, their vice president of their editorial vice president is John Solomon. So they allow some opposing view at the Hill.
Okay,
just a little bit, enough to keep a some type of semblance of credibility. Anyway,
so thehill.com.
Definitely,
they put out an article about Trump rolling back Obama-era light bulb rules. So the Department of Energy finalized a controversial rule Tuesday that would erase Obama-era efficiency standards for light bulbs. The regulation eliminates efficiency standards for about half the bulbs on the market. It leaves in place rules for standard pear-shaped bulbs while removing such requirements for recessed lighting, chandeliers, and other shapes of bulbs. The rule does not prevent consumers from buying the lamps they desire, including efficient options, the agency wrote in the rule. The market is successfully transitioning to LEDs regardless of government regulation. Consumers are clearly taking advantage of the energy savings provided by LEDs. A senior DOE official told reporters that concerns may be overstated and the new rule would not have a large impact on the market. The regulation gives consumers more choices and consumers are better off with more choices, he said. But Noah Horowitz, director of Center for Energy Efficiency Standards at the National Resource Defense Council, said incandescent bulbs still make up about 45% of the market. I'm jumping a few paragraphs here. DOE has argued it is not rolling back energy efficiency standards because they are not changing the definition of which light bulb the rules applies to rather than changing the standard itself. Which, this is a small win, but it's a win nonetheless. I don't know about you, Russ, but I get so irritated with these crappy, weak bulbs. I mean, everything seems to be crappy and weak now. Like dishwashers take 2.5 hours. Washing machines take 2 hours. Light bulbs are not as bright as they used to be. Everything is just getting worse because of consumer regulations on the consumer appliance market.
Yeah. There have been to be fair, there are a few instances of those curly bulbs that I've liked. They last forever. I'll give them that. It puts out a rather kind of ugly fluorescent type of light as opposed to incandescent light. It's kind of ugly, but it lasts for a long time. It also costs you about $15 to buy one, dear listener. $15 to buy one light bulb. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm with you. I think that this is a win for the consumer. And it's a win for the agenda.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it can be understated how important it is.
Yeah.
Because slowly.
Yeah. It's great. It's just these small little wins. Trump's doing this in the background and, it's not a lot, but it's something.
Yeah.
I did this video again with Brandon Cropper, which, by the way, dear listener, YouTube, a guy named Brandon Cropper. I've done now 2 videos with him. And one thing that he's talked about is Trump halting all lawsuits on the EPA. The EPA suing coal companies. You know, when Trump came into power, he just basically told the EPA, yeah, I'm shutting all these lawsuits down, and told the coal companies, all right, you guys can get back to work now. Anyway, so that's a good thing. But Russ, you want to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and close it out with Grab Bag Special?
Yeah, man, that sounds fantastic. And I don't have any audio for the second break. Do you got something you want to play for the second break? I mean, we got a deep Grab Bag Special, right? And I don't want to cuck any of that content yet, but I don't really have anything to play for a second audio break. Should we just do an honest break?
Yeah, let's do an honest break.
All right. Dear listener, thank you so much. We are 2/3 of the way down this 53-mile trail. Thank you so much for riding along with us. Luke and I are going to take about 10 minutes of our real time, 5 seconds of yours. We'll be back at you before you know it.
All right, dear listener, welcome back to HSP episode number 53. Luke and Russ here with you. Going to close this show out strong. And yeah, Russ, I think we're having a good show so far. I'm having fun.
I think it's going well, man. I'm pretty white-pilled. Things feel pretty good. And but we are back-ended by the Fighting Texas Aggie kickoff, which happens in about 45 minutes, man. So we got to roll, dude. We got business.
Is it 45 minutes? I thought it was 2:30 Central.
I thought it was 1:30. You may be right. I don't know. I thought it was 1:30 Central. You know, I don't know. I thought I think it's 2:30 East. 2:30 East.
Ah.
Yeah, because it's at Clemson. Yeah.
7:30 UTC.
Huh.
Wait a minute. No, that's not right. No, because Google automatically updates the time zone for me, and it tells me it's at 9:30 p.m. my time, which would be 2:30 p.m. your time.
Okay. All right. So we got some time. That's good. Yeah. Well, yeah. I tell you what, man. I'm getting started right now. I'm drinking this Fighting Texas Aggie beer, and getting ready for this game, man. We're gonna win. We're gonna win, man.
Yeah. I just looked on Texags. It says 2:30 CT.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Good. Thank God.
Yeah, dude. Hopefully we do well. I'm gonna stream it over here in Germany. Hopefully I don't see any Taco Bell commercials.
Yeah. Well, you know you will.
Yeah. God, that was so miserable when I realized I couldn't go get Taco Bell after the game.
I know, man. I know. Damn. Yeah, I might have to go get some tacos at Taco Bell. I mean, just for the game. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So,
Yeah, I think they have some sort of new taco or something that they've announced.
Oh, do they? Is it like a Dorito taco or something like that?
Yeah, it's like some sort of like spicy cheesy taco or something.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't sound bad. All right.
Certainly something that commits climate change.
Oh,
is guilty of contributing to climate change.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, dear listener, as we ride on, we have to tell you. Okay. Luke and I were hoping to have a special guest on the show today so that we could discuss Brexit. We're going to table Brexit, but there's a lot going on. Brexit is officially botched for this week. Sorry we didn't get to it. There's a lot to say, man, but we're gonna GBS this out and ride off, set up camp, and ride into the sunset. Is what the agenda is, I think. Unless you got something, man. You got something else?
If you set up camp, you're not riding off into the sunset, though.
Well, I mean, in reverse order. You know what I'm saying. In reverse.
I know, man. Yeah. Let's do it, dude.
All right. So you want to introduce the grab bag special, man? I mean, we have a grab bag of grab bags here to cover this week.
Yeah. We're gonna do all the climate change stuff, right?
Yep. We sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because CNN they didn't have the wherewithal to actually put the climate change town hall in its entirety on YouTube. So we're going to just kind of take it piecemeal, but I think we're going to focus on Elizabeth Warren, right?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I mean,
because she's probably going to get the nomination at this point.
Yeah, at this point, man, the bloody eye during the climate change town hall that Joe Biden suffered, the memory lapses that he suffered. Luke, it was actually, man, I truly felt pity for Joe Biden watching that happen. I was just like, damn, dude, this is bad. And nonetheless, the centrist blob left is still going to abuse this elder man in interest of advancing their agenda. It's really despicable, dude. It really is, you know? So, but yeah, but I think this week, as of this week, Joe Biden is done. That's what I think. And it feels bad, man. It doesn't feel good. It feels bad, you know? So
yeah, I want to see the next debates before I write him off.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. Same here, actually. Same here. So
Well, let's just jump into it, dude. Let's see what let's see what Pocahontas has to say. Stands with the beer.
Stands with the beer. All right, we've got a 10-minute clip queued up, right? And Fredo is already grilling her right here. Fredo Cuomo is grilling her, right? So I think we should just take this from the lead, man. What do you think?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
The nomination.
I like that.
You're
Say
on
that
the debate
again.
so far. The premise is good. You're on the debate stage. You're across from the president, and he says the Green New Deal is a dream because we're 60% right now on fossil fuels. You're saying you want to put into research and get it done, but you don't know how right now.
No.
So you want to bet our economy on an ambition. What's the answer?
He says the Green New Deal is a dream.
I'm assuming he says it. I don't know what he'd say. It may not be that
I'm
nice.
just saying where he is right now is a nightmare.
So clever, so witty. Yes, clap, clap, clap. So witty.
And that's where we really do have to start this conversation. Don't sit around and tell me what's not possible. Sit around and look what happens if we don't make change. You know, we've got, 11 years, maybe, to reach a point where we've cut our emissions in half. And that's not just America. We're only 20% of the problem. Now, that's a big hunk of the problem. But there's another world out there that's 80% of this problem. So you bet that this is a moment where we better dream big and fight hard, because that's how it is that we're going to make the changes we need to make. Now, part of it is going to be about research and development, you bet. Part of it, we already know how to do. We know how to do offshore wind. We know how to do solar. The question is, are we willing to put the resources into it? And my answer is, yeah, we better be willing to put the resources into it, because the alternative is unthinkable. Life on Earth is at risk. And if we don't make this commitment, we not only cheat our children, we cheat their future and their children's future, and that is morally wrong. We have to be all the way in.
Oh, yes.
So let's get an audience.
What do you think about that? Well, first of all, I wonder a few things, because I had the advantage of looking at the video right now, and Pocahontas's eyebrows seem really high. So I wonder if she's had kind of an extreme facelift of some type. Secondly, I noticed that Stands with a Beer sounds really breathless, like literally out of breath, right?
Yeah, she sounds nervous or like on the verge of tears or something.
Yeah. And I don't know. But I think that she probably is nonetheless still the true front runner. She is arguing a positive, and this is dangerous. She's not arguing a negative. She is establishing a vision, right? She seeks to, literally by her own words, impose American dominance about our will about the climate on 80% of the rest of the world. She just said that, right? So like we said about, Buttigieg earlier in the second segment, right? She is using this World War II rhetoric as well. We're going to go to war for the climate. We're going to go fight for the climate. That's literally what she's saying, right? I don't know, man. I think a lot about it. It's all absurd, you know? What do you think about it, man?
Well, whole Stands with the Beer. I mean, she definitely knocked it out of the park in terms of like how she should answer the question as a leftist. She definitely just absolutely nailed it, especially with the closer reprimanding it as morally wrong. I mean, she did everything she was supposed to do. She had passion. She was well-spoken. She brought it down to morality. I mean, she nailed it in terms of being a leftist. Now, she's completely wrong. And, I don't know if Trump has called it a dream or not, but if you're on the right, you do not refer to the Green New Deal as a dream. It's not a dream. That is the nightmare. We live in a dream now. If you want to live in a nightmare, that's what the Green New Deal is for. Like right now, we do live in a dream world. And that's because of fossil fuels. Now, a lot of other things as well, freedom, liberty, capitalism, all this other stuff. But fossil fuels is the foundation upon which our civilization has been built. And necessarily so, because that's the only technology that we know how to harness that allows us to become as rich as we are. And to the extent that we turn our back on that technology without having any technology to replace it, at least not on the scale that we need, then we become poor. So when they talk about, oh yeah, sinking resources into this, no, it just means making yourself poorer. How poor can we make ourselves? How poor do we have to make ourselves before the left is satisfied with what we've done for climate change? Just let that thought sink in for a moment.
Right.
How poor do you think that we would have to be before Ocasio-Cortez and all of these lunatics are satisfied? That's a scary thought. That's a nightmarish thought.
Yeah.
Especially when you think about how they want to limit red meat consumption. They want to, friendly encouragement to, to stop eating red meat. Like, this is the same rhetoric as like re-education camps. It's like, we're going to re-educate meat eaters, send them to re-education camp where they subsist on rice, a bowl of rice a day for 6 months to break them of their meat eating habits. Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah.
So this is, you want to talk about a nightmare. You're looking at it. She's talking and standing there on stage. That's the nightmare. The left is the nightmare.
Yeah.
It is absolutely terrifying what they are proposing. And she's, and not only that, but they're just wrong about all of it. You think about climate change. They've been yakking about this they've already talked about the population bomb. One guy wrote a book called The Population Bomb. And this was supposed to have happened in the 80s.
Right.
And guess what? It hasn't. Life has just gotten better.
Right.
They have been wrong for decades. Just the whole thing. They're just wrong. They've historically been wrong. They're factually wrong. Therefore, they're morally wrong. And you do not give them an inch. Don't call the Green New Deal a dream. It's not a dream. It's a nightmare. That's what I think about it.
Yeah, man. And, you notice how she conveniently leaves out an alternative energy source for her private jets. And also did Pete Buttigieg, right? It has been revealed this week that Pete Buttigieg he pretty much flies exclusively on private jets. Exclusively. No commercial for Pete Buttigieg. No. Private jets only, right? They leave out a solution for mobile energy sources intentionally. As Luke and I have already argued, dear listener, because they want you static. They want you on the farm. They want you subsistence living, right? And not moving. That's what they want. They want to be able to move. They don't want you to be able to move. That's what's going on right here. Right?
Yeah. They want to ban your forms of locomotion.
Yeah.
They want to ban your form of locomotion. They want to ban your source of employment. They want to ban the food that you eat. This is why we've been saying environmentalism is not just a political position. It is all encompassing. It envelops your existence. This ideology does in every facet: food, clothes, medicines. Just everything. It just touches everything. It is a cancer.
Yep. And we have to say, to be fair, also, there is no energy source for locomotion but fossil fuels. Under our current technology, the best that we can do right now is fossil fuel locomotion. There's no alternative. There's none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Tesla? When you plug your Tesla in, what you think? You think that electricity is just growing on electricity trees? No, it's coming from coal power plants and nuclear.
Absolutely.
Like, you drive a Tesla, you're still burning fossil fuels.
Absolutely.
You're just burning them out in the countryside and not in the middle of the city. Congratulations. You just moved where you burn fossil fuels to a different location.
Absolutely. And I've never seen research into this regard, Luke, like how many fossil fuels were burned and consumed and emitted in order to generate sufficient electricity to charge one of those damn cars, man. I've not seen the ratio of fossil fuel output to electrical input. I've not seen that, but I guarantee you that the ratio is pretty high in favor of more fossil fuels were consumed in order to generate that electrical power for that Tesla. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you talk about like all the mining that had to take place.
Right. Right.
You know, the drilling that oil up out of the ground, all of the fossil fuels that required. I mean, we do not have technology as of yet to power our civilization the way it is, to the extent that it is today, to support our way of life today. That energy source does not yet exist outside of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
It could be argued nuclear, but they're against nuclear as well. So, you know, they're not even against fossil fuels. They're just against energy abundance. That's what they're against.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Cory Booker did flip this week on nuclear power. He was like, "Oh, here's how I got red pilled about nuclear power." Yeah, that's pretty much what he did. You know, the other thing that you're talking about is that Donald Trump has already BTFO'd this argument in probably 3 rallies ago or something like that. He was like, "Darling, I would like to watch some television tonight. Oh, the television doesn't turn on. What's going on? Oh, there's no wind and it's cloudy. We don't have enough energy to turn on the television." And he's right. He's absolutely 100% correct. He's already slew this argument already, you know?
Yeah.
All right, let's drive on a little bit, man. Let's skip forward about 2 minutes. You want to do that? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Let me back up. We're going to go a minute and a half because Stands with a Beer has her arms waving in the air. This is going to be passionate, man. Let's see what this is.
It's because of Washington. We have a Washington that works great for the wealthy and the well-connected. A Washington that is working great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere. It's just not working for the rest of us who see climate change.
We have a Washington that is working very well for you, Elizabeth Warren.
Down upon us.
Kidding. Yeah.
When you see a government that works great for those with money, a government that works great for those who can make big campaign contributions and hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers, and it's not working for everybody else, that is corruption, pure and simple, and we need to call it out for what it is. Fight back.
So smart. So smart.
Back to the scenario.
I mean, the government is not supposed to work for you.
Yeah.
You work for you. The government is supposed to make sure nobody else gets in your way. That's the purpose of a government.
Exactly so. Boy,
and, when it's like, oh, it works for people with money, it should work. It shouldn't be working for anybody. That's the whole point. It should be allowing other people to work for themselves, and then the government's there to make sure nobody like her can come along and say, no, you can't. You can't go. You can't be an oil company. We're done with that. It's the purpose of the government is to protect people like us from people like Elizabeth Warren.
Yep.
Who want to control you, regulate you, tell you what you can and can't do. Everything that this entire climate change town hall is all about. The purpose of the government is to protect us from them. That's what it is.
Yep. And Luke, she has the temerity to come out and say, we need a government in Washington that works for us, as if she is not a part of this Washington, D.C. ruling class. My God, man. And this crowd, as you just heard them applaud, dear listener, lapped it up like cats lapping up a bowl of milk. They just lapped it up. Oh, yeah, she's one of us. She's one of us. No, she's not. She's one of the overlords that is telling you, you can't. Not yes, we can. No, you can't. That is literally what she's saying. Dang. She's talking about fixing Washington so that it becomes more powerful to tell you, no, you can't. That's what it is. That's what she wants.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, she talks about oil companies who can go drill wherever they want. These oil companies have employed so many people and paid them so well, allowed so many people to live the good life.
Yeah.
Like she is directly damaging millions of employees. That's what she wants to put millions of people, destroy their jobs. And we'll retrain them, to be solar panel installation technicians? make $12 an hour? Thanks, Elizabeth Warren.
We're going to make them coders, brah. Learn to code, brah. That's what she wants.
Yeah, we'll teach them all to be computer programmers. College would be free so they can go to college. Maybe they don't want to go to college. Maybe they don't give a shit about computers. Maybe they like their job. Maybe they quite enjoy the people that they work with. Maybe they like where they live. in a suburb in Houston or Galveston or Corpus Christi or something, and they have a nice little farm, they've got a good life. And then Elizabeth Warren comes along and completely destroys it because oil companies we should get off of oil and just destroy these companies. Well, you're destroying the lives of millions of people, Elizabeth Warren.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She doesn't care. That's what she wants.
It's just disgusting, dude.
Yeah, it is disgusting.
These people are so disgusting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
all based upon some prediction which has been repeatedly for decades been proved to be false.
Well,
just through observation.
Yeah. It's AOC's talking point that she just ripped. We've got about 11 years left. Oh my God. We've got 11 years left or we're all going to be dead. Oh my God. Who said that first? AOC said that first. Or rather, I'm sorry. Cortez said that first. My bad. Sorry about that. She's not AOC. She's Cortez. So,
here's how you know they're lying about that. Because in 11 years, do you think they're just going to give up and throw their hands up and say, well, too late now? No, right, they're still going to be going after you.
Right. Yeah, right. Look at Al Gore.
And we know that because they've already made all these predictions. The population bomb, Al Gore has made these predictions. They've all already said, it's like every 5 years, there's a new, this is the last year. This has happened like 5 times at least in the last 40 years of, if we don't do it by then, it's going to be too late. And then a couple years later, somebody else comes out. No. If we don't do it by then, it's going to be too late. And then after that, no. It's actually this time it's going to be too late. Just over and over and over again. So they are never going to give up. This 11-year, 12-year timeline is what it originally was. Is just nonsense.
Yeah. Well,
it's
she's saying 11 years. Lie. Yeah, she's saying 11 years because AOC said 12 years 1 year ago. So Elizabeth Warren is actually so buying into Cortez's frame that she correctly subtracted the 1 year that we've already burned with inaction on climate. Oh my God. Right. That's literally Cortez's talking point. And she corrected the math for it. Oh my God. Dear listener, you see how this Justice League Democrat rhetoric is absolutely sweeping through all of the Democrat Party. It's
infected them.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, we need to do the same thing to the right, man.
You're right. We need to set up a PAC right now, dude. I mean, zero gravity PAC. Really.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. We need to, still do the show, have a PAC, right? Go lobby these sons of bitches, these cuck rights, right? And make them great again. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, that's a God tier idea. All right, let's talk more about that. Seriously, let's talk more about that.
All right, man, I'm down.
All right.
What would we call it? What would we call our New Deal?
The Red New Deal. Kidding. I don't know, man. We would have to disavow the rhetoric of any deal, of any new, and of any color. You know what I mean? It would have to be something. I don't know. Give me a minute. I'll think about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm terrible at things like this. It's like not where my creativity comes out.
Yeah. We couldn't even think of hardly strictly politics for, man, that took us forever to come up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good at that either, man. Even though, I've worked a lot in marketing and media and all that, but it's not my forte. You know what I mean? Short little digestible sound bits. Actually, they are my forte, and they are Luke's as well. But in terms of a marketing campaign for it, not so much. We'll hire a consultant. We'll outsource the title, right? Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, send us an email, dear listener, if you have a good name for our New Deal. I don't think it should be a new deal, though. I don't even know. Maybe it should be a new deal. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. The old red deal. Kidding. I'm not serious about that. So.
The white New Deal.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's do another drop, and then we should probably start calling it here soon.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. All right, let me see if I can find another place where Stands with a Beer is animate in her movements. Yeah, I found one. Okay, it didn't take long, man. It's just 2 minutes later. I'm at 5 minutes and 50 seconds in this clip. Here we go, dear listener.
We do best here in America. Part 2 is we say to the world, you can produce whatever we come up with in our science, whatever devices, you can have it, you can apply it, but whatever is manufactured from it, you have to manufacture right here in the United States of America. That will produce an estimated 1.2 million new manufacturing jobs, good jobs, union jobs, not jobs that pay less, not jobs that are an afterthought, but real jobs.
Oh, God, there are no good jobs except for union jobs.
We want to sell this stuff around the world. That's how you generate a change in how we see both our economy, building unions, building good jobs, and at the same time, both saving our own nation and the rest of the world on the climate front. These are the kind of changes that we can make together. And let me say one more thing about workers, because I don't want to miss this chance. Understand, we need our smart workers. We need the guys and the gals who've been sitting around for a long time, who know how to read plans, and they know how to move big equipment, and they know how to help us, because we're going to need to rebuild our infrastructure around this country. There are places where we're going to need to harden our infrastructure. The oceans are rising.
No, they're not.
I visit a lot of port cities. I live in one.
The oceans are receding.
We are going to have to make big change, and that means we need our workers. We need our workers to be there, to help us, to be partners in this, and quite frankly, to have the good, well-paying jobs as part of that. This is a win-win for everybody. This is how we go into the future and build an America that is both green and an America that's not just working for the profits for the fossil fuel industry, but an America that's working for everybody.
So, a quick question about going from the work.
The applause at the end always annoys the shit out of me.
I know. Do you hear how she aspirates? Like, she really does seem breathless. We need change for workers, right? Like, she's just really kind of absolutely crazy and breathless. I would just like to point out, you know what, Elizabeth Warren, thank you for buying into Donald Trump's economic nationalism argument. I despise how you're trying to configure this, take Donald Trump's agenda and configure it in terms of a green economy. Luke, we have an issue here. If she gets the nomination, what she just said is a point that Donald Trump has to BTFO and do it solidly and cogently. She argued a pretty positive agenda item just then. She did.
Well, here's the difference, is that what Donald Trump is proposing, manufacturing, is something that's actually useful. Like something that is going to actually make us wealthier. Tearing down a building and rebuilding it does not make us wealthier.
That's it. Yeah.
And yeah, dude, in her voice, you can hear it shaking. It's like, it almost sounds like she blew a line of Coke and then grabbed the mic. You know what I mean? Like,
it kind of does. Yeah, it kind of does, man. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. But like, seriously though, she, yeah, I mean, okay, great. Let's go pay 1 million people to go dig 1 million holes and then fill them back in again. That's basically what she's proposing, and then calling it work.
I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. She is taking Donald Trump's economic nationalism argument and reconfiguring it in terms of Keynesian economics. That's what she just did. It's a pretty clever move. Yeah.
Yeah, break a window and then, oh, hey, look at the work we created. We broke the window. This is the broken window fallacy. Right? Which is the also that scene in The Fifth Element. That's pure Keynesian economics.
Yeah, dude, totally. Yeah.
Or he breaks the glass and he's like, look at all these little machines that go around cleaning it up and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you totally negate the fact that you destroyed the glass. You destroyed something in order to create something else. That's not wealth production. That's just an offset.
It's value destruction. There was already value within this window contained in that glass. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like, you know, when Britain firebombed Dresden, you know, you don't look at Dresden and go, oh my God, look at all the opportunities for wealth creation. This is fantastic. You know, like, Hurricane Dorian, economic stimulus
there you
rolling
go.
up into the Bahamas.
There you go. That's it.
Oh, what an opportunity. We can build green new structures in the Bahamas. This is fantastic. And we can employ 1.2 estimated million people.
Yeah. That's where they're going to go.
They should be.
That's where
they
they're
should
going
be
to go.
celebrating the fact that Dorian just destroyed the Bahamas because now they can.
Based on their
this
premise,
is their
yes.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yes.
There's an opportunity. Rebuild it green. That's what needs to happen. We need one giant hurricane to come over the United States and just completely destroy the country so that we can rebuild it green, and then we'll say, "Oh, look at all the jobs we created."
Exactly, man. We need climate change in order to destroy these ungreen structures. Dear listener, we need climate change. We need climate change. We need these severe storms to wipe out all of this value, all of this civilization, so it can be rebuilt in the visage of the Green New Death. Oh my God. That's it right there. That's it right there. That truly is the self-contained contradiction in all of their agendas. In the less agenda and as expressed by these candidates individually. Yes. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, and these economic fallacies run deep too. It's like, oh, we'll take away their shovels and give them spoons, and now we need 100 more people. Created 100 more jobs.
Yeah. Just so, man.
Well, I think we should call it there, man. I think that's a strong note to end the show.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Now, dear listener, sorry we left Brexit on the table. Maybe we'll get to it next week. There's been a lot of action. We might have a special surprise guest next week. We hope so, Luke, don't we? We hope it can work out.
Yeah, dude, totally. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gonna hang around and watch the game?
Oh, yeah.
You got somewhere to go.
No, man. No. I'll sit here and kick it with you. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'm gonna after we finish the show, I'm going to buy a couple flights to Texas.
All right. Good, man. Good. All right. Let me know.
I think
we're
we're
no details.
Going to be flying in September 28th and then flying out at the end of October. So I'll be there for a month. Although I think we're also going to buy a cruise. I think we're going to do a cruise in the Caribbean while we're there. So I'll probably be gone for like a week.
Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic, man. I do work the weekend of the 28th, man. I'll tell you all about that.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to, we're flying in on the 28th. So,
okay, good.
So that's pretty much out of the question. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, let's, after we hit the black button, let's catch up about this and figure out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right.
If there's any dear listeners out there that want to meet up in Texas in the month of October, hit us up.
Yeah. Let us know by all means. Yeah. Send us feedback using the contact form at zero-gravity-media.com/feedback or feedback@zero-gravity-media.com. Either way, hit us up. Let us know.
/contact.
Oh, it's my bad. Sorry about that. You know what I'm saying.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. They've heard it so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really funny, dude. If the show comes on in the car and Jessica's in there with me, I'll say the intro along with it as it's playing, and it just creeps Jessica out. It's hilarious because it's the exact same voice.
Yeah, that is so funny, man. Yeah, I used to try to be variable with the intro. Now I've kind of gotten into consistency. That's kind of the norm. That's what people want, I think. You know what I mean?
They expect.
Yeah,
people like their rituals. Kind of gives you that comfy feeling.
Yeah, just so.
All right, dude. Let's call it.
Let's set up camp, man. All right. What we got on the menu tonight? We got barbecue, red beans and rice. What else we got?
Maybe some summer sausage and crackers, a little bit of cheddar.
All right. That sounds good. I've got some whiskey, man. What you got? You got some rum?
I got a little bit of wine, and then, I got a little bit of rum left.
All right. Fantastic. Dear listener, we are set up for the evening. We're going to set up camp right now. Thank you so much for riding along these 53 miles with us. It has been a pleasure, Luke. As always, it has been a great ride.
Likewise, brother.
All right, man. We'll be in touch. Let's talk about these travel plans as soon as we hit the black button.
All right. Sounds good, man. Later.
Peace.